All right, all right. It looks like we are live. What is going on, Bree Hive? Nice to see you again on this lovely Thursday. Y'all, starting off, I did not know that this case was going to blow up in the way that it has blown up. We talked about the fact that we were going to cover this case on Tuesday, and then next thing I know, it's all over the internet. But that's okay. We're still going to cover it. Sorry for those of you that may be hearing this story for the third time, fourth time, fifth time on the interwebs, probably the millionth time if you're on multiple different social media sites. But we're going to cover it because I promised that we're covering it on Tuesday. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, we are talking about Lizzo's case. Lizzo, the singer, flute player, musician, is being sued by some of her backup dancers. And so, you guys, this is right up our alley. So we're definitely going to look into it. We got a celebrity. Normally on the channel, we cover celebrity lawsuits. So we're going to cover it. It's shocking. All I can say is that it's a shocking reason to me why she's being sued, especially when we're talking about hostile work environment, body shaming, when she's supposed to be this body positivity type celebrity, and now she's being accused of not being that. So we're going to jump into the story. For those of you who do not know me, I am Boss Attorney Bree, and here on this channel, we cover celebrity lawsuits, trademark lawsuits, copyright lawsuits, and really whatever the heck we feel like covering. And today, we are covering a good old celebrity lawsuit, and we're talking about workplace violations. We're talking about sexual harassment. We're talking about religious harassment. Y'all, this is a live reaction. I haven't watched anybody stream. I haven't read through this complaint. So this is going to be a full-on live reaction for you guys. Let's see. We got hostile work environment. Okay. Let's see what else we said. The religious harassment. That one's new to me. Failure to prevent religious harassment. Okay. Racial harassment. All right. And disability discrimination and intentional interference with prospective economic advantage. So you taking money from these people, you're not paying them correctly, you're creating a hostile work environment, allegedly. So before we jump into the lawsuit, I do want to check out who is here live with us. If you have not let us know that you're live yet in the chat, go ahead and drop it in the chat. If you're watching on the replay, go ahead and drop in the comments that you are watching on the replay. We have Robert Hines saying LOL first in the chat. Nice to see you again. Welcome to being the first one in the chat. Cheryl Reed says, hello, Bree and Bree Hive. Happy Thursday to all. Hello. Welcome back. It's a great day. It's almost Friday, so it makes it a great day. Nice to see you, Cheryl Reed. Cheryl Reed says, hi, Robert Hines. Guess on second. Yes, exactly. See, Seltzer, member of the channel, hello. Welcome into the live stream, dropping us some emojis and some special emojis that you get from being a member on the channel, but StreamYard doesn't show us. Thanks for the support on that. Cheryl Reed says, so many other channels are covering this case, but I'm excited to get Bree's take. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I know we talked about it. I forgot who told me about it on Tuesday. I was like, oh yeah, we can cover it. And then all of a sudden everybody's covering it. Jazzy G says, hi everyone. Hello and welcome to the live stream. Kimmy Locker, another member of the channel, saying hello, everyone. Hello, welcome into the live stream. Nice to see you. Matt Bond, long time no see, saying hey, spiffy people. What it is, what it isn't. Love it. Nice to see you again. Nissa Howard saying hi, hello, nice to see you. Nissa Howard says, love everyone's take on this. I feel like it's all going to be different takes, right? I haven't watched anyone yet because I didn't want it to influence my opinion on anything. So I haven't watched anyone else's take on this. I saw maybe one TikTok pop up, but that's different. They're not looking at the complaint. Chris Mullen, another member of the channel, saying, hey everyone, hello, welcome into the chat. Nice to see you again. Leonard Amber saying, hi all, thanks for being here tonight. Yes, of course. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. We're gonna have a good time, I think. A good time. I think some of the issues may be a little serious, so we may not be able to laugh as much, but we're gonna have a good time. Oh, Sweetie No says, hi all, hello. You put the waving hand that made me want to wave. Mary Malarkey says, hello, Bree, chat, and mods. Hello, welcome back to the live stream. Nice to see you. Cheryl Reed says, you're going to love it, Bree. It's some of everything. I'm seeing it's 7 claims in here. 7 claims, 3 people. Let's see what it's talking about. Let's see. Uncivil Law saying, Bree, I am here. I am everywhere. Hello, Kurt from Uncivil Law. Nice to see you. Did you cover this case? I didn't see a thumbnail with this case for you, so I'm just wondering if you've seen it. Deacon Fatal, hello, another member and moderator of the channel. Welcome in, saying hi, boss attorney Bree in chat. This case is a hot mess. Okay, so you've already heard about it. You've already heard about it. Chantel saying hello, everyone. Hello and welcome in. Chris Mullen saying hey to Kurt. Yes, everybody say hi to Kurt. Say hi to everyone. Say hi to everyone. We're going to have a good time. Oh, Sweet Note says to Cheryl Reed, totally it's the charcuterie board of lawsuits. Y'all didn't think I could say that word, huh? No, just kidding. Matt Bond says there is a reason the music industry is known for sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I was surprised for Lizzo to have a lawsuit like this, though. And I saw like some articles pop up, and I saw something about walking from a different city to go get a cheesecake. Sounds like hazing to me. We'll get into it. We will get into it. Everyone really saying hello to everyone. Kayla Eloisa, welcome back to the live stream. Nice to see you again. Another member of the channel. Cheryl C, hello. Welcome into the live stream. Nice to see you. Kimmy Locker saying, I asked for Lizzo and appreciate you covering it. Oh, yeah. It was Kimmy Locker that suggested the lawsuit. Maybe you should stream. You could have been the first one on it. That would have been good. Z Seltzer says, by the way, I heard the judge in the mac and cheese lawsuit dismissed it. Really? Thank you for the update. I would love to hear what he had to say. Can you cover it? Let's see. That was the instant mac and cheese one, right? I could probably find it in my files. Mac and cheese dismissed. Okay, so we will check that out. Thank you for the suggestion. I forgot who told me they sent me something on Instagram. I have not had the opportunity to check that one yet, but hopefully I get to it over the weekend. Amica fan says hello from New Zealand. Hello, welcome into the live stream. Nice to have you here. Uncivil says Lizzo is in trouble, LOL. Yeah, and everyone's talking about it. Everyone's talking about it. Hey, Tanya D, welcome in. A member and a moderator of the channel. Welcome in. Nice to see you today. Let's see. I'm behind in the chat already, and we haven't even started. We haven't even started yet. But I want to say hi to everyone. Deacon Fiddle says, I have been paying attention to this one, and I'm upset. I'm ready to get into it. Cheerful Bacon, nice to see you. Welcome into the live stream. Okay, let's see. Not yet. You haven't covered it? You have not covered it. I cannot talk, y'all. I'm always tired, but we got to do our live streams. Should I, though? Hey, if you like it, we love it. I don't know. I don't know what's in it all the way. Yeah, I know a couple of things, so it may be something good for your channel to cover. Hello, Swanky says, what up? Hello, welcome to the live stream. Nice to see you again. Hello, Swanky. Jane Stoddard dropping the Kurt emoji. It's not even a cowboy anymore. It's just a Kurt emoji. Deacon Fatal saying hi to Hello Swanky. Tanya D says, I'm out of town today, so I will be on the replay crew tonight. That is okay. Thank you for stopping in and saying hi to us. Just Jen. Why am I getting tongue-tied on that? Just 2 words. Just Jen said, hey. Hello, welcome into the live stream. D. Delvin says, hey all. Hello, welcome. Okay, y'all. I gotta get into the thing because I'm behind. But we're gonna go ahead and get into the lawsuit, and then hopefully I can catch some more chats. And I see Cheryl C, you're the one that said you sent me a food lawsuit suggestion. Okay, I will check on it. I just haven't had the opportunity, and I'm barely on any social media other than TikTok that fries my brain. But that's okay. It takes me away from normal life, but I do need to check my social media accounts. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this lawsuit. For those of you who do not know, Lizzo is being sued by 3 of her backup dancers. They are alleging all kinds of stuff that has to do with kind of a hostile work environment. We got let's just get into it. Let me go because I get to talking, get to stuttering. It doesn't work out for me. Okay, so we have this complaint here. It is filed in the Superior Court of the State of California for the County of Los Angeles. And shout out to the Daily Beast for downloading this document, because it probably would have costed a lot of money if I had to pay for it. So thank you very much. We have this lawsuit with Crystal Williams as an individual, Ariana Davis as an individual, and Noel Rodriguez as an individual versus Big Girl Big Touring Incorporated, Melissa Jefferson. Oh, I did not know that her name was Melissa, but I guess that makes sense for Lizzo as an individual, Charlene Quigley as an individual, and then we are naming some John Does, Jane Does, whatever you want to call them, for people that they do not know who they are quite yet, but they would like to name them in the lawsuit maybe in the future. Okay, we have Lead with Love becoming a new member of the channel. Thank you so much. We definitely appreciate you. You get a cool little badge next to your name, cool little emojis that you get to use. And although StreamYard does not show it on stream, the chat can see it, and I can also see it in the back in YouTube studio. So thank you so much. Welcome to the new member. Bree, go ahead and welcome in Lead with Love. I'm gonna get my soundboard because I need some little graphics going on when cool things like that happen. But okay, let's go and get back into the lawsuit. Okay, so we got the people. Lawsuit against Lizzo. These are her dancers. And then we have a complaint for damages for the FEHA, which I cannot think of what the acronym stands for at this moment. So, I'm sure they'll tell us later. This is for hostile work environment, sexual harassment. This is for all the plaintiffs against all the defendants. We have a failure to prevent and or remedy hostile work environment, sexual harassment for all the plaintiffs against all the defendants. We have religious harassment for all the plaintiffs against all the against Charlene and Big Girl Torrance. So this one is not against Lizzo individually. So she was not harassing people to be in a certain religion, but Miss Charlene was, according to this, allegedly. We have failure to prevent and or remedy religious harassment. Lizzo, you're on the hook for this one. They're suing all plaintiffs. They're suing all defendants. Racial harassment, we got that for plaintiffs William and Davis, and that's going to be against Big Girl Big Touring. So we got a racial claim against just the corporation. And then we have disability discrimination. This is for Davis against defendants Big Girl Touring and Lizzo. So Lizzo, she's calling you out. And then intentional interference with prospective economic advantage. This is for all the plaintiffs against the corporation. Oh, I thought there was only 7 claims. There are actually 9. Let's keep going. Assault. This is Rodriguez and Davis against Lizzo. Ooh, what are they alleging here? And then we have false imprisonment. Somebody locked you up and you couldn't leave. You are being held against your will. And we have that for Davis against Big Girl Touring, the corporation. This is a demand for jury trial. So as we know, if this continues on, then they're going to have a jury of their peers determining what should be decided in this case. So comes now plaintiff Crystal Williams, Ariana Davis, and Noel Rodriguez. Herein actively, collectively referred to as plaintiffs, who hereby respectfully allege, aver, and complain as follows. So let's get into a little bit of the background, brief background of what's going on here today. This action is brought by plaintiff Crystal Williams, Ariana Davis, and Noel Rodriguez pursuant to California statutory, decisional, and regulatory laws. Plaintiffs were employees of defendant Big Girl Big Touring, Inc., hereinafter referred to as BGBT. Hope I don't mess that up throughout the live stream. And Melissa Jefferson, professionally known hereinafter as Lizzo, at all times herein mentioned. Plaintiffs allege that California statutory, decisional, and regulatory laws prohibit the conduct by defendants herein alleged, and therefore plaintiffs have an entitlement to monetary relief on the basis that defendants violated such statutes, decisional law, and regulation. I'm wondering if more people are going to end up filing lawsuits like this, or if the other dancers are going to back up Lizzo. I'm wondering whose side the other dancers would be on. Okay, let me go ahead and introduce us to the plaintiffs. They were residents of California. Okay, I thought they were going to give me a little bit more information, so never mind. Okay, so we're going to skip over that. Let's get right into the factual allegations, because I thought they were going to tell us who Quigley was in the top, but they didn't. So, guys, I forgot to say, if you have not already, please do hit the like button. It definitely helps us out in the algorithm. We have 40 friends here today, so if everyone hits the like, we might hit our goal of 100 likes per live stream. We have not done that in a while, so if everybody can just hit the like button if you have not already. All right, let's get into the factual allegations. This case centers on 3 professional dancers' experience working for Big Girl Big Touring and Melissa Vivian Jefferson, professionally known and hereinafter referred to as Lizzo. Throughout their employment, plaintiff Ariana Davis, Crystal Williams, and Noel Rodriguez were subject to a host of violations of the California statutory and decisional law. In March 2021, Miss Davis, already typos, okay. In or about March 2021, Miss Davis and Miss Williams were introduced to Lizzo when they were contestants on Lizzo's reality television show, Watch Out for the Big Girls, which was released on Amazon Prime Video. During this show, contestants competed for the opportunity to join Lizzo's team as her big girl dancers, accompanying Lizzo in her live performance and tour. Nice way to, get some recognition and get on the team. In or about May 2021, Miss Davis was required by Lizzo and BGBT to submit a psychological examination to ensure she was psychologically healthy enough to endure the strain of filming the television show. During this examination, Ms. Davis disclosed that she struggles with anxiety and depression, which occasionally results in binge eating. The waiver of privilege and confidentiality and consent to evaluation form she signed prior to undergoing the examination states that the information disclosed during the evaluation may be provided to production, its representatives, and or other individuals or entities involved in the show as deemed appropriate by the doctor performing the evaluation or by production. Ms. Davis is informed and believes that her disclosure of her struggles with anxiety, depression, and binge eating were relayed to Lizzo and BGBT, which I guess would be a violation because it says that it would only be relayed to the production if the doctor says so. The show and production if the doctor says so. In or about May 2021, Miss Rodriguez was hired by Lizzo and BGBT. Initially, she was brought on to perform in Lizzo's Rumors music video, but she remained with Lizzo and BGBT as part of the performance group supporting Lizzo in her live concert as well. While working on Rumors music video, Miss Rodriguez was approached with another job opportunity that would have run concurrently to her rehearsals for Lizzo's live shows and tours. After rehearsal for Lizzo, live shows were After rehearsals for Lizzo's live shows were postponed, Miss Rodriguez approached Lizzo's tour manager, Carlina Gugliotta, about possibly taking on this one-day job opportunity. Miss Gugliotta, I'm gonna mess that up. Miss Gugliotta, Miss Gugliotta. I'm gonna just call her Gugliotta. Gugliotta. Okay. Do you want the job or not? Implying that Miss Rodriguez wanted to keep her position as a tour dancer, she could not take other positions. Okay. On or about July 28, 2021, Miss Rodriguez was officially booked by Lizzo and BGBT to perform with Lizzo at several music festivals. In or about August 2021, filming for WOFTBG began. During filming for the show, Miss Davis and Miss Williams were first introduced to defendant Shirlene Quigley, one of the judges and instructors on the show and captain of Lizzo's dance team. Miss Quigley was not only vocal about her religious belief, but took every opportunity to proselytize it to any and all of her presence, regardless of protesting, I guess. During filming of Watch Out for the Big Girls, Miss Quigley took particular interest in Miss Davis and regularly preached to Miss Davis about what Miss Quigley believed to be a shared Christian identity. So she's basically forcing her religion on this lady, and she does not want the religion to be forced on her. Let me go and jump into the chat real quick because this whole complaint is already screwing me up. Can barely make it through it. Let's see. We have Just Jen says Quigley sounds confused, but a good drinking partner on a night out. Not gonna lie, I'd be all up for joining Lizzo on tour. These people are saying they had a bad experience. Kayla Eloisa says, that's super shady. Thanks for the update to Cheryl C. I think I missed it. Just Jen says, nearly 3 a.m. here and struggling to keep my eyes open and may drift off, but we'll catch up on the replay. That is all good. We are just happy you stopped by and hopefully you can watch the replay. Just Jen says, I think a huge problem here is she was the boss, but wanted to be besties out of that too. It's confusing boundaries, but not worth a lawsuit. A good handbag fight would fix it. Probably. Jazzy G cracking up. Kimmy Locker saying, I don't think Lizzo's dancers were unionized. Probably not. Jazzy G says, yeah, as the boss, probably shouldn't do this. It's a lot. Let's see. That sucks. Quigley is a mess. Thanks, Cheryl. Deacon Fiddle says, I told you it was a hot mess. I can't read it. That's the problem I'm having. I got to be able to read it and get through it. But I don't know if I'm tired or it's just all these crazy names. I'm tripping over everything today. Okay. Also, let's get back into it. Also, during filming, Quigley discovered that Miss Davis was a virgin. Okay. And Miss Davis's virginity became a topic of extreme importance to Miss Quigley. In the months to follow, Miss Quigley is a funny name. Miss Quigley would routinely bring up Miss Davis's virginity in conversation with Miss Davis. Miss Quigley even mentioned Miss Davis's virginity in interviews she participated in and later posted to social media, broadcasting an intensely personal detail about Miss Davis to the world. Miss Davis never gave Miss Quigley permission to share this private detail about Miss Quigley's by Miss Davis's life. Why are you telling this girl's business on the interweb and on TV? Like, what is going on? As one of the competitions in Watch Out for the Big Girls, contestants were told they would be required to participate in a nude photo shoot. While some contestants were not bothered by this, the prospect of a nude photo shoot made other contestants severely uncomfortable. Miss Davis was particularly distressed by this challenge. She was entirely uncomfortable being photographed nude for anyone with access to Amazon Prime Video to see. As this challenge was part of the competition, Miss Davis believed poor performance or outright refusal would have resulted in Miss Davis being sent home from the show and no longer being considered for a spot on the dance team. While Miss Davis did not want to be photographed nude, she also dreaded the thought of not earning a spot to perform with Lizzo on tour. Okay, I'm gonna say this. I think I might be leaning. I haven't read through all of it, but I think I might be leaning with just Ginge, because you signed up for this TV show. Was this not in the contract? I know a lot of times, like when people do these types of TV shows, they say, hey, you may be required to do these kind of things. That's usually in the contract. Maybe it wasn't in this case, but that is usually in the contract, and you usually agree to stuff like that. Now, if she was pressured into it after she said that she didn't want to do it, I think that would be, something that's a little bit more like, okay, I feel bad for you. But just saying, oh, I'm going to do it because I don't want to be kicked off the show. You're an adult, and if you want to dance for Lizzo and you don't make it by going on the show, maybe try out for the dance team, like try out rather than going on TV to make the dance team. Maybe try out at like an open call or something instead. But just to say, I didn't want to be kicked off the show, so I did it. I don't really feel bad for you on that one. If they force you to do it, sure. But just saying you didn't want to be kicked off the show, I don't feel bad for you. I'm sorry. This dilemma caused Miss Davis anxiety to flare up, resulting in extreme distress. Miss Davis broke down in tears on set while struggling to choose between a once-in-a-lifetime career opportunity and putting her body on display against her will. Ultimately, Miss Davis was allowed to participate in the photo shoot partially clothed in a nude bra and underwear. However, this experience foreshadowed the sexually charged and uncomfortable environment Lizzo's employees would be forced to endure. And maybe that was just a setup for more extreme things, but that in particular, I don't see as much of a problem, because you are an adult. You can make the choice to not be involved in something like that. Okay, let's go ahead and jump in, because I saw a comment that made me laugh. Jane Stoder, hello, welcome into the live stream, saying, oh, Bree, read on. I'm reading on. Diggin Fiddle says, I haven't even seen the contract. I don't know if anyone has seen the contract. Just Jen says, read on. They let her wear nude cover-ups. They accommodated her. Okay, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. They did accommodate you. No one's really forcing you here. Matt Bond says, it's very common on tour for band and dancers to sign an exclusive agreement to that artist. Taylor Swift and Katy Perry's fight was over Taylor getting her dancers to sign, and Katy wanted some of them. That makes sense. Yeah, because you have to commit to it. I'm pretty sure it's a very extreme process, very time consuming. You don't want her mixing up your Taylor Swift dance with your Katy Perry dance with your Lizzo dance. We do not want that. So I can definitely see them signing a contract. And thank you, Matt Bond, for giving us that info. Cheryl C says, Bree, Emily D. Baker said, since the document is not date stamped, she called the courthouse herself. It hasn't been filed yet on as of late this morning, but it was released to the media anyways. So you know what is probably happening is they're just probably trying to stir up controversy about it, and maybe Lizzo will settle out of court. But if you have somebody write a 44-page complaint, you might as well file it at that point. So maybe they're just trying to get the media's attention, because I was actually looking at some other cases to cover today, and I found some cases that this channel would be very much so interested in, but not a lot of people are covering it. So I believe you. I feel like this was, leaked to the press, and it may be to get some attention, and maybe she'll settle outside of court. Cheerful Bacon says, gotta run, so I will watch the rest with the replay crew. Well, thank you for stopping by and joining us today. Ari, another member of the channel, saying the photo shoot part is giving me flashbacks to America. That's what I was thinking of too. America's Next Top Model, the things Tyra has them do, shaking my head. And it reminded me of that, but I'm pretty sure those girls probably signed a contract saying that, I would have to do these things. Kind of like those dating shows too, where they're like, if you leave, you have to pay like the $50,000 liquidated damage clause. How many times have they really enforced that? In a situation like this, she didn't even say if I left, I would have to pay $50,000. She said if I left, I would not be able to dance with Lizzo. So yeah, no, I don't really feel bad for you on that one. And they accommodated you. You didn't even have to get naked all the way. Jazzy G says, IDN. I don't know why they included this. I feel like they use it to kind of build up something else, but we'll see as we get deeper. Just Jen says, I think she needs a big hug and some body confidence. Hey, maybe. I just don't understand how you don't know what you're signing up for. Julia 543 says, oh, Matt Bond, that's what that fight was over. Taylor had good dancers. I never even heard of that. Deacon Fatal with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. Saying my inner voice, I was rooting for you. Yeah, we were all rooting for you. That right, with them saying that she broke down. I'm thinking like they're pressuring her. Like on Next Top Model, they would pressure you. It's like, do you really want to be a model? Like all of this. So I don't know. This one doesn't sound as bad to me. Thank you again, Deacon Fatal, for the super chat. Definitely appreciate it. Jay Stoder says they gave her an accommodation. They did. They did give her accommodations. Kimmy Locker says to Deacon Fatal, oh yeah, religious discrimination is definitely illegal, but I'm not really convinced that what happened is discriminatory because participation wasn't a condition of employment. That is true. And I will see. I gotta read deeper into it. Y'all know more than me on the case. Julia 543 says, what cases did I find? I found that someone sued Nicki Minaj recently for copyright infringement. That's something we would normally cover on this channel. This was filed back in June, but no one has said anything about it. So we might cover that. Just Jen says, I think it's not even about money. It's about clout. Just my opinion. I would agree with that. If this is true, they didn't really file it because they also appeared on a show to get on the team. You're kind of putting yourself into that industry. Not saying you should be abused if you do put yourself into that industry, but it does seem like you're looking for fame rather than you just want to be a dancer. A lot of backup dancers, we don't know who the heck they are because they're not going on TV shows and suing their artists in order to have people recognize them, right? So I would probably agree with that opinion. Deacon Fatal says to Ari, that is exactly what I was thinking about. I hated that show. Next Top Model, yeah. Just Jen says Lizzo is very body positive, openly sexual. She's all of everything. These dancers must have known the situation. That I also agree with. She dresses in the same skimpy outfit that Beyonce would dress in, right? Why would you not assume that she's going to do something body positive? And something like posing nude is body positive. It shows you're confident. It shows your strength. It shows you're very comfortable with your body. So something like that really doesn't surprise me for a show for Lizzo, right? Just had to sue her, I guess. Julia says, just Jens, have you heard the details yet? Let's see. Kimmy Locker says, pretty risky move for clout if they want to continue working as professional dancers. Not a good move, right? Especially in the same industry. It's risky to do it for money too, but at least the money pays the bills. Maybe they don't want to be dancers no more and they're looking for a way out. I don't know. But some people, they do get famous on doing, lawsuits or doing bad things like freaking don't shoot me. But Kyle Rittenhouse becoming like a celebrity for winning his murder case. I don't know if that should make him a celebrity. And maybe that's not why he's a celebrity, but I didn't know him before that, right? So people become famous from lawsuits. So that's the thing. Just Jen says there's a few things that are questionable, but all of the shade is adding zero merit. That's what it feels like, right? Cheryl C says there are complaints here that might be actionable. They buried them at the end and put all the drama first. Yeah, all I'm seeing is drama, but I don't even know where these things happen. LA, Paris, Amsterdam. What were they doing? Was it on the set? Was it behind a tree? We don't know, right? MB says, after Emily D. Baker streamed about it, I'm all team Davis and Rodriguez. Keep reading. It gets much worse. Okay, let's go ahead and see. Right now, I'm not really feeling bad for Davis too much, but let's see. Because who said, I just lost it. MB said it gets better for them. Okay, let's see. Watch out for the big girls wrapped up filming in or about September 2021. Miss Davis and Miss Williams were both selected to be part of the dance cast accompanying Lizzo on tour. Miss Williams, Miss Davis, Miss Rodriguez all performed with Lizzo at her festival appearances from September 2021 to April 2022. So they was dancing their butts off. In or about April 2022, plaintiff began rehearsing in preparation for Lizzo's The Special Tour. During this time, plaintiffs worked closely with Miss Quigley. That's such a weird name to me. I always feel like I'm saying it wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how you said that. Miss Quigley, as she was captain of the dance cast. Miss Quigley continued to preach at everyone in her surroundings, especially about her beliefs regarding Christianity and sexuality. Miss Quigley often made comments deriding people who engaged in premarital sex. Girl, these people are grown. Knowing that some members of the dance cast did not share her views. Miss Quigley also had a party trick in which she would simulate oral sex on a banana in front of the rest of the dance cast. Why? Why did she do that? These instances were always unprompted and made plaintiffs uncomfortable. Why is she doing that? Y'all didn't say anything? And you calling it a party trick? You didn't say, like, stop. Why would she do that? Let's see. Miss Quigley's sexually inappropriate behavior did not stop at faux fellatio. Despite her staunch beliefs in opposition to premarital sex, she had no problem sharing her masturbatory habits with the dance cast, often stating things to the effect that masturbating is against my religion, but I had an oopsie. Why do they need to know that? Miss Quigley's sexual explicit comments were so pervasive, the entire dance team knew about her sexual fantasy of having. Y'all, what is going on? The whole dance team knew about her sexual fantasy of having 10 penises in her face. What does that even mean? Why? Okay, let's jump in. Similar to Miss Quigley's constant sexual inappropriate comments, Miss Quigley's ministering to plaintiffs was unceasing. Miss Quigley's continued to keep tabs on Miss Davis's virginity and made it clear that Miss Quigley thought the only way one could be a proper Christian was through similar abstinence while she's running around masturbating and telling everybody about it. Miss Quigley also singled out Miss Rodriguez as a non-believer. That's messed up. Like, why are people so aggressive? And made it her mission to preach at Miss Rodriguez. Miss Quigley even told other dance cast members it was her mission to minister to Miss Rodriguez during the tour. Leave that lady alone. When cast members told Miss Rodriguez of Miss Quigley's intent, Miss Rodriguez specifically requested that Miss Quigley refrain from impressing her religious beliefs upon Miss Rodriguez. Good job. Good job standing up for yourself. Miss Quigley became irate and yelled at Miss Rodriguez at one point while on tour. Miss Quigley said, "No job and no one will stop me from talking about the Lord." Preach on, sis. But now you getting sued because you wanted to preach to folks. Where was I? On one occasion, while on tour, Miss Quigley interrogated Miss Davis about her religious beliefs. While in the dressing room doing their makeup in advance of a show, Miss Quigley began stating her own religious beliefs and asking Miss Davis if she held the same beliefs. When Miss Davis expressed a different belief than Miss Quigley's, Miss Quigley became visibly upset, making it abundantly clear she expected Miss Davis's total conformity to Miss Quigley's dogma. I've never seen that word before. While Miss Quigley was for sure the most extreme in her religious convictions, her sentiments were softly echoed by others in supervisory roles at BGBT. Before rehearsals and performances, the dance team would pray together. While it was not an official requirement for team members to participate in these prayers, it became clear that engagement was compulsory. The responsibility to lead the group in prayer rotated across the dancers, and when it was Miss Rodriguez's turn, she politely but clearly made known she did not want to lead the prayer. Despite Miss Rodriguez declining every time she was asked, Miss Quigley continued to pressure Miss Rodriguez to participate and made Miss Rodriguez feel judged for declining to lead the dance cast in prayer. I don't know. I'm not a labor attorney. So I'm not a labor attorney, okay? I get the thing of like this being their dream job and everything. But if you feel uncomfortable, why are you staying? Why are you not filing no complaints? You're just talking to someone that doesn't really have any authority. And then if they will fire you, you can file a lawsuit for wrongful termination, like the people suing Kanye West are doing. I get it being your dream. I get it being your dream job. I get it being your breakthrough moment. But why are you letting these people bully you? I don't know. Let's see. Chantal says, this is why some people accuse Christians of being freaky. Miss Quigley is wild, and Miss Quigley is out of control, okay? Out of control. Hella Swanky says Christians are the worst in the arena because their faith teaches that it's their duty to I can't say that word, and everybody wants to use it today. Proselytize. Some Zians don't understand time and place or will refuse to read the room. Yeah, and I'm almost like nobody else called her out for trying to force her to read that. Like, I'm confused. Or force her to lead the prayer. Jazzy cracking up. Chris Mullen says being open about what you believe in is completely different to pushing your beliefs onto someone else in an aggressive manner. I think forcing her to pray was aggressive, but just speaking about the Lord all the time, it can be annoying, but I don't know if that would be something as pushing someone's beliefs on you. Like, you could talk. I'm pretty good at ignoring people, so it probably wouldn't affect me as much. But straight up telling somebody, oh, no, you need to pray. No. No, I don't. I don't want to. Why don't you do it if you're so pressed about it, right? So yeah, definitely pushing it on them and saying, oh, you don't believe what I believe in. I would probably just consider her a dick and a weirdo for wanting to have everyone have the same beliefs as her. But I don't know if I would feel like she's trying to push her religion on me so far. She just comes off as really annoying to me so far. But to Miss Rodriguez, I would say she is forcing her at that point. Julia says, Matt Bond, oh yeah, now there are no good employment chances. Good to know that some artists are inclusive. I don't know what Matt said. Let's see what Matt said. If I can find it. Matt says, to Julia, any chance they did have is gone. You find some artists will hire to be inclusive. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Let me see. I don't remember where I was at in the chat. Okay, I found it. Mighty Me says Miss Rodriguez should have prayed to Odin just to piss Quigley off. We would have been sitting there in silence. Do you know, y'all, I didn't get in trouble in school. But the times that I did get in trouble is because I didn't talk. That is the times that I did not get in trouble. I didn't do what I was being requested to do, and I didn't talk. I just sat there and ignored the people. So Miss Quigley would have been getting ignored the mess out of for me. Put me in the back of the dance routine. I don't care. But you're not about to force me to do something that I don't want to do. I will ignore the mess out of you. That's my party trick. I'm going to ignore you. If you're trying to make me do something I don't want to do that I already told you I didn't want to do it, I'm just going to ignore you and I'm not going to speak at all. Just that's bad. That's bad. Oh man. Just Jen says, I'm thinking it's to be for real. Maybe it was to be honest. It may not end up there. It's so unclear. We got France, Amsterdam, and a company in Delaware, and the incident in New Orleans. We could be everywhere. I don't know. Jazzy G says, yes, I agree. They let all this go on and stayed too. Yeah, I get it being a dream job, but I don't know. At some point, you have to make the decision that's best for you. Dig it, Fado. Thank you again for the super chat. $20 super chat this time. Definitely appreciate it. Saying, again, I am too poor to worry about rich folks' problem at this time. If this goes to trial, it will be messier. It will only get messier. And Dogma is a thing, too broke and too tired to deal with her mess at this time. Maybe tomorrow. You are rich, friend. You are rich. We see you out here. Thank you so much for the super chat. Hello Swanky says, I'm still waiting for the part that's gonna sway us to their side / defense. This is the second story this week that we thought we were going to be on their side, and we really are not so far. The only thing I kind of feel bad for is them forcing Rodriguez to pray, but at the same time, I think she's an adult and she should stand up for herself. And if you lose your job, you lose your job, and you can sue for wrongful termination. Let's see. Cheryl C says dogma just means a belief someone thinks is uncontrollable. And then I can't say the word. I know what it is, but I can't say it. Can't say it right now. Incontrovertibly true. It usually refers to religious beliefs. That makes sense. Matt Bond says once you're known in the industry as trouble or drama, you're blacklisted. Yeah, I could see that happen. And they're starting it off very rocky for themselves. Julia says, Matt Bond, that makes sense. MB says there really should be a dancers union. The dancing cultures are very tough, and you never complain to someone or you're out. To who though? There isn't an HR. If she has a corporation, there should be something in place. They're suing the corporation. So if they don't have HR, that might be their own employer violations going on. There should be something in place. Julia says, you are saying it right, proselytize. It just looks like a lot of weird letters together, but thank you. It gets weirder. Cheryl Reed says, was any of this part of the actual TV show? I didn't watch it either. Let us know, people in the chats, if you watched it. Just Ginge, I thought you said you was going to bed. You've been here for a while still. Opinions and advice go hand in hand, are everywhere. That's life. I usually find causing offense stops that. Yeah, I'm like, offend her, ignore her. I don't know, but you're not going to force me to do something I don't want to do. Well, Odin would also make sense. Julia says, Bree gets silent when mad. Noted. I'm not saying jack diddly squat to you. We just gonna be standing here. The show is not gonna go on. I've literally been removed from cheerleading because I was not about to cheer, and I ignored that lady. Don't bring up bad memories. Chris Mullen says, I'm good at ignoring people going on and on about their beliefs. Also, I just smile, nod, and move on. Right? I'm not even smiling and nodding. I'm not even looking at you. You go on too long. Ella Spanky says, my thing is why? What's the reason for preaching your faith all the time? During dances too. Like, you're supposed to be dancing and you're preaching. To convert, save souls, right? Because you think she's realized the constant preaching always has the opposite effect. You're just annoying people at this point. Matt Bond says to Julia, when word got out to Justin and Brittany, that Brittany cheated with her dancer choreographer Wade Robson, NSYNC fired him and he was instantly blacklisted. Huh. Wow. MB says they teach you from the very, very beginning when being a dancer, never speak up, never complain, never cause trouble, and do as you're told, or you're blacklisted. Decades of training and career gone. That makes sense. That does make sense. And it's a different industry. It just couldn't be me. it could not be me. I would not make it. I absolutely would not make it. But no, I definitely understand it. It's a different industry. That's what you kind of signed up for. But then to turn around and sue and cause the same problem, you might as well have just spoken up at that time. I don't know. That's how I'm feeling. I wish I had my little soundboard to do a little yay, little sound, because it just disappeared right when I brought it up. But we hit 50 live viewers. We have not done that in a while. Thank you guys so much for the support. We are at 52 likes already in the live stream. Thank you guys so much for supporting the live stream. You know, we've been a little on and off, little rocky relationship, but that's okay. I definitely love coming here, live streaming, and hearing all of the opinions or reading all of the opinions of everybody. So, boom, let's go ahead and get into the case because y'all keep telling me to read on. Y'all keep telling me to read on, and I'm not quite there with them yet. Let's see where I think I lost where I was in the thing. Okay. Miss Rodriguez was struck by, whoa, it jumped right into it. Miss Rodriguez was struck by Miss Quigley's, I thought they meant like she hit her, like struck her, by Miss Quigley's insistence on overstepping. Accordingly, Miss Rodriguez took her concerns to the assistant choreography. Good job. Again, she's the only one speaking up for herself. I can appreciate that. Melissa Charlotte, hereinafter Miss Charlotte. Miss Charlotte showed some empathy for Miss Rodriguez's concern, but merely suggested Miss Rodriguez take her complaints to Miss Quigley herself. Yeah, they don't have HR, like you said. A wholly useless tactic, as raising concerns with Miss Quigley had never proven productive. Makes sense. And on another occasion, while on tour, with Lizzo, Miss Williams accidentally brushed up against one of the tour bus drivers. The driver responded by saying, "You can back up on me again," implying Miss Williams' accidental touch gave him sexual gratification. A different driver was known for playing sexually explicit songs on the tour bus. These interactions made the dance cast incredibly uncomfortable and fear for their safety. Miss Davis and Miss Rodriguez reported the driver's inappropriate behavior to BGBT management on multiple occasions, but BGBT never did anything to protect the dancers. Management merely questioned whether the drivers were drunk and or driving safely and did nothing to make the dancers feel any safer than they did prior to reporting the driver's behavior. After several reports by Miss Davis and Miss Rodriguez, management began denying ever hearing about the driver's inappropriate behaviors. So they're speaking up and nothing's happening. So, okay. Got a little bit of, sympathy for them there. As the domestic leg of the special tour came to a close, problems became more abundant, with the last domestic show being played on or about November 19, 2022, and the European leg not scheduled to start until February 2023. Plaintiffs began looking for other work as they were only paid for the time they spent on tour. BGBT preferred plaintiffs did not take on additional gigs and even instructed plaintiffs' agents to place plaintiff on a soft hold, meaning plaintiffs would not be paid during the break but should not be taken on other jobs. F you and yo soft hold. Due to BGBT's soft prohibition on plaintiffs and their team members taking on other jobs, they became wholly financially dependent on the income they received for their performances on the special tour. The dancers then learned that the musicians and other members of the tour were on retainer, to which they were paid a portion of their tour rate while on break from tour in exchange for not taking other jobs. Get a union. It sounds like y'all need a union. Plaintiffs and their team members started discussing among themselves how they would negotiate for a retainer of their own. Good job. These discussions continued through the start of the European leg of the tour. Making matters more stressful, plaintiffs and the dance cast were only ever given 2 weeks advance notice that they were booked for tour performances. This lack of notice placed plaintiffs in a sort of purgatory, not knowing whether they should start looking for other jobs or to wait for Lizzo's performances to resume. This insecurity made obtaining a retainer of utmost importance to the plaintiffs and the dance cast. I would agree with them on that. They should be being paid on retainer. Especially if you don't want them to take other jobs and you got them under contract potentially, you should probably be paying them a retainer. Otherwise, if you don't have your dancer in your show, that's on you. On or about February 7, 2023, plaintiff arrived in London, England to start rehearsals and perform with Lizzo at the Brit Awards show. On or about February 3rd, plaintiffs performed with Lizzo in a show in Amsterdam, Netherlands. After the show, Lizzo invited the dancers out with her on the town. These invitations were not unusual and attendance was not mandatory. I feel like you're telling on yourself at that point. But it was well known that the dance cast members were expected to endear themselves to Lizzo. Lizzo often mentioned that she had eyes and ears everywhere and only wanted good people and good energy around her. Those who attended after-party events Lizzo planned were often favored, selected to perform with Lizzo at shows outside of regularly scheduled tour dates, and were widely considered to enjoy greater job security. But not attending dancers not only risk losing out on being selected for these additional shows and therefore additional income, but also risk being ostracized from the group, putting their continued employment on tour in jeopardy. This could not be the job for me. Absolutely could not be the job for me. This particular evening, they put particularly, this particularly evening, Lizzo sent out the invite through her close friend and member of the dance cast, Twanta. Miss Davis and Miss Rodriguez were out at dinner celebrating the birthday of one of the supporting vocal performers on tour when they received the invitation. Twanta hurried the dancers, including plaintiffs, to accept or decline. Feeling their absence would be noticed and or taken personally by the employer, plaintiff accepted the invitation before learning what Lizzo had in store for them. As it turns out, Lizzo had planned a night out in Amsterdam, notorious red light district known for its abundance of sex theaters, sex shops, and clubs and bars where nudity is on full display. The main event of the night was a club called Banananim Bar, where patrons are allowed to interact with completely nude performers. When plaintiffs expressed misgivings about the plans for the night, Twanta stated that it is too late to back out because she had already sent Lizzo a head count for the evening. Again, feeling the looming pressure of job insecurity, should plaintiff abstain from attending, plaintiff reluctantly went for the evening. I don't know, y'all. What do you guys think in the chat? Do y'all feel sorry for them? Is it just me? Is it just me? And that's why I don't feel sorry for them? I know it's a different industry, but you're an adult. I don't know. How do y'all feel? Let me know what y'all think. Let me know what you think. Because I'm like, I don't really feel bad for them yet. I don't. Deacon Fatal says, hostile work environment right there. Which part? Julia says, I heard her struggling but was typing. For me. Hella Swanky says, this is just sounds really messy, and I'm a little surprised for an artist of Lizzo's caliber, budget, touring bracket. This is wild. Yeah, it just sounds like nonsense to me. Deacon Fatal says to Hella Swanky, I know I'm actually hurt listening to it again because, like, what the F? I don't know. Jazzy G says, why didn't she just do this with her friends and not employees? Just not a good idea. Maybe she feels like the employees are her friends. Like someone said earlier, there's a fine line that it seems like she's crossing. Or maybe she just wants the party to be big and want it to look like they're the biggest, hottest group out in public. I don't know. She wants a bigger entourage, I guess. Deacon Fatal says, okay, this one makes no sense to me. Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. Going to a party in fear of being fired if you don't go to the party. Have you seen people get fired just because you're not going to be picked to go on the other, performances? Does it mean you're going to get fired? I don't know. Maybe she just likes those people better and those people actually have fun when they go out with her. So I don't know. Hello Swinky says, I mean, I'm not mad about that one. You bond with people you tour with, and how well you get along, your chemistry with others is just as important as how well you dance, play, sing during shows. I can agree with that. I can definitely agree with that. That's what I'm saying. How do we know that she just, one, that those people are not just better dancers, or two, that when they go out with her, they actually have fun, and then she actually gains a friendship with them, so then she actually wants them to go on more tours with them. Is it really, like, how are you going to be able to prove that if you did not go on this party, then you would have been fired? You may have had to pay them money for, maybe she had to pay per person going. And if you went, then you can go for free. But maybe if you skipped out and they already paid for you, they might ask you for money back. Maybe. But I don't know. I'm not getting enough details here. Jazzy G says, I don't feel sorry at this point because they could have said no. Exactly. They're saying, oh, if we do it or if we don't do it, then we may or may not get fired. Okay, that's like any other job. Cheryl Reed says, the concept that escapes Lizzo is professionalism. Okay. If she wants to survive in the business, she's got to be professional or she'll play out. She hasn't been in the I think you meant industry. I'm like, in the dusty long, and it shows. And she's young. She's not old. So she probably is just, having fun. MB says, I feel bad for them. I'm waiting for it, MB. I know you said that some of them had some things going on, but like I said, the only person I really feel bad for so far is Miss Rodriguez for being forced to do prayers. Julia says Jazzy G because she tried to make her employees her friends. Exactly. And maybe she has her own self-esteem issues and maybe doesn't have a lot of friends, right? Deacon Fatal says if she is the one that has the bag for them, yeah, I do feel bad for them. Makes sense. Jane says there is much more. Keep reading. It's so much. It's so much. Swinky says I'm definitely going to be more likely to select bandmates, backup dancer, etc. I know, and I can key between shows. Yeah, you typically, if you get along better, you are going to have better opportunities. Does it necessarily mean that you're going to get fired? I don't know if I'm all the way there with them on that. Julia says yes, Bree. You struggling to pronounce it? Oh. But he did it. I can read it now. NSYNC made us feel old. But the way he put it, it was all capitalized. So I was confused. I was like, is he trying to say NYC? But no, the way you just wrote it, I completely said, oh, NSYNC. And I was like, oh, from what Matt Bond said earlier. Yeah, with the all capitals, that threw me all the way off. That threw me all the way off. Oh my gosh, I feel so embarrassed. I feel embarrassed now. Ella Swicky says, because usually while you're on tour, you are like friends. It's like a little family. And you are there across the country or out of the country, actually, with a bunch of people. You want to hang out with them, right? And I can see her wanting it to be a big party. Yeah, they're employees, but that is not how they see each other, guarantee it. Could possibly be a thing. Cheryl C says, I think that most of the things in this lawsuit can be argued from both sides, where either side is at fault, depending on the perspective. Later on, there are questionable things if they are true. And with these kind of things, I'm just like, are you going to be able to prove it at trial? This almost, a lot of this seems opinion based. Up here, a lot of it seems opinion based, but let's read on. It's 44 pages, and we are not even halfway there. Okay, we are not even halfway there. But I don't want to like just read through and not check in the chat. Leave me alone, Hella Swanky. I don't know. When was the last time we seen NSYNC spelled out? I don't know. get back into this case. I cannot. Y'all embarrassing me and stuff. Well, shoot, I'm embarrassing myself. Hold on before I get sued. While at a Banana and Bar, things quickly got out of hand. Lizzo began inviting cast members to take turn touching nude performers. Sounds like they was probably just having fun, maybe even drunk. Maybe. Catching dildos launched. Catching dildos launched by performers. What the heck? Vaginas and eating bananas protruding from performers' vaginas. Why? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. From performers? Oh my gosh. Okay. That just made me sick. What is up with bananas in this lawsuit? What is up with the bananas? Okay. What did bananas ever do to Lizzo and her crew that they are violating bananas in this way? Like, what is going on? Lizzo then turned her attention to Miss Davis and began pressuring Miss Davis to touch the breast of one of the nude women performing at the club. Lizzo began leading a chant goading Miss Davis. Miss Davis said 3 times loud enough for all to hear, "I'm good," expressing her desire not to touch the performer. The chant grew louder and more strident, demanding a visibly uncomfortable Miss Davis to engage with performers. Miss Davis reiterated her discomfort, stating, "I'd rather not because I'm cool here in the corner." Finally, the chorus became overwhelming, and a mortified Miss Davis acquiesced in an attempt to bring an end to the chants. Why you didn't go to the bathroom? Oh, I gotta pee. I gotta pee. Gotta go. This one is a little questionable for me just because they were out partying. This is not like on the job and it's like you have to touch a boob in order to perform on the stage tonight. So this sounds like a bachelorette party where people get pressured into doing things, or you're like, no, I'm not going to do it. Oh, no, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to. I'm good in my little corner. It could have easily came off as that. We don't know because we weren't there. That's what makes it kind of hard for me. This kind of sounds like, that part particularly sounds like a bachelorette party. When you go and you're all like, oh no, blah, blah. I don't know. That one doesn't have me convinced either. After Miss Davis briefly touched the performer's breast, the group burst out into laughter. Miss Davis unabashedly laughed along. So it sounds like a bachelorette party. You laughed along, trying to hide how uncomfortable this interaction made her. Her efforts to conceal her discomfort were apparently unsuccessful, as on separate occasions, BGBT management in attendance, as well as Lizzo's security team, asked Miss Davis if she was okay. Miss Davis replied kind of to one request and no to the other. For that particular reason, though, or because you were pouting for another? I don't know. Let's go on. In addition to pressuring an unwilling Miss Davis into interacting with a new performer, plaintiff and all in attendance were unable to avoid witnessing Lizzo's incredibly public display of sexual affection with her boyfriend. At one point, the couple exuberantly took Chwanta and 2 members of the band which performed with Lizzo on tour to a back room before returning some time later. What are you accusing them of doing, a foursome in a room that y'all were not in? So how were you forced to watch her and her boyfriend be affectionate if they went into another room? I don't know, y'all. I'm not. Okay, let's go. Let's read on. Let's see if I'm reacting too early. Upon her return to the main club, Lizzo began to pressure a member of her security team to participate in the night's debauchery. Lizzo badgered the security guard to get on the club stage until he submitted to her demands. When he got on the stage, his pants were pulled down, exposing his buttocks. Lizzo then began yelling, "Take it off," while a club performer hit the security guard with whips. Ooh, okay. Plaintiffs were aghast with how little regard Lizzo showed for the bodily autonomy of her employees, those around her, especially in the presence of many people whom she employed. She messed up. These are things you're supposed to do with your friends. that are on board with this, that you know are not going to be offended by this. Now we're getting this written by some people that were offended to this, but if they were her real friends, they probably would not have been offended by this. They probably would have been having fun, probably like a lot of the other people that were there. This feels like a stretch to me. I would say don't go. On or about March 5th, 2023, after performing in Paris, France, I feel like they got fired and then they brought this lawsuit. Let's go on. On or about March 5th, 2023, after performing in Paris, France, Lizzo again invited the dancers out. No, you made me uncomfortable last time. She told them that they were going to go they were going to go to Crazy Horse, a place where there would be live dancers performing, and that they would be able to learn something or be inspired by the performance. What Lizzo failed to mention when inviting the dancers to this performance was that it was a nude cabaret bar. What is up with her and being naked? Like, I get the body positivity part of everything, but gosh, Lee, why does everybody have to be naked? Not until the curtain opened and nude. So one thing about me, y'all, and this is why I don't feel bad. One thing about me is if you tell me we are going somewhere that I don't know what it is, even if I do know what it is, I am going to look it up. I am going to look it up. I'm going to see what they got going on. If you ask me to go to dinner at somewhere where I've never been to, I am going to go on their website and I'm going to look at the menu. You want to tell me there's like, oh yeah, you go, we're going to invite you to a dance bar, and the last dance bar she invited you to, they was naked. You didn't think to check? For all you knew, she was taking you to the strip club to learn stripper moves. At this point, you kind of already know her MO. Say no. Say no. I don't know, y'all. I thought I was going to feel bad for these people. Okay, we're at a cabaret bar. Not until the curtain opened and nude women began to dance on stage did plaintiffs know what they were in store for. Not only were plaintiffs under the same pressure as before to go out with Lizzo after the performance, but this time the fact that they would be attending a show where nudity was prominently featured was hidden from them, making them completely surprised when the curtains were drawn and nudity, so it didn't look like a strip club when y'all walked in. And nudity was yet again on display, while the show at Crazy Horse was artful and nowhere near as uncomfortable as their outing at Banana and Bar. Plaintiffs were shocked that Lizzo would conceal the nature of the event to them, robbing them of the choice not to participate. So do they legs not work? Can they not walk out? Can they not fake a sickness? Like, can they, like, even if you're uncomfortable with leaving because you don't want to, make her feel bad or lose your spot, why don't you just say you're sick and go home? Like, why are you sitting somewhere that you're uncomfortable? Have somebody call you with a family emergency. We do it to get out of dates with people we don't like. Why can you not do it to get out of parties you don't like? I don't know, y'all. This one is still a stretch for me. This one is still a stretch for me. N-word says, always right, but I think they are young. To who? Which is the N-word says, yes, Bree, never not, always love. Cheryl C says, apparently none of these adult people know how to use Google. That's what I'm saying. Why did you not look it up? And especially after the mess you pulled in Europe. Like, why would you not look it up? Deacon Beto says, as everyone should Google, right? Just don't go places blindly, especially the last time you went blindly, you saw what happened. And the thing is, like, you guys are all dancers. You guys are all body positive. Most of you guys are women, if not everyone being women. Maybe she didn't think you would be offended by it, especially if you never said, hey, I was offended by that. And this is the thing, is that this is after work, so I can't even consider this a hostile work environment, because at this point you're going voluntarily. You're not being paid to be there. You're just going because you think it will give you a better chance at getting a better position in the dance. Kind of like that Snoop Dogg case that we covered. Was it Snoop Dogg? Yeah, I think that was the Snoop Dogg case where the girl was trying to claim that she was, raped with who was the other dude? Magic Don Juan. Because she wanted to be the newscaster girl on the video. This is what this lawsuit sounds like to me. Okay? Let's see. Let me go back. Jesse G says, right, I'm kind of in the middle on a lot of this. I can understand both sides, but I think as a boss, she should have kept her relationship professional. Yeah, I think she probably crossed the line. You can't invite everybody. I'll tell you that. You can't be friends with everybody, and you can't invite everybody. And the thing is, she probably didn't even notice that they were uncomfortable. She probably didn't even notice. I'm not trying to make excuses for her, but a lot of this stuff is like borderline to me. It sounds like a bachelorette party. It sounds like young ladies going out having fun. That's what it sounds like to me. Chelsea says, exactly, they are adults, but they are young, so they grew up with Google. They should for real be Googling. Then Julia says, Jazzy G, I think that's where I'm at, in the middle. Makes sense. Sentient Dreamer says, if this is all valid, saying no isn't an option, how easy is it to say no if your job security is based on compliance? That's what they're going to have to prove. How are you going to have to prove? I mean, how are you going to prove that if you did not go, you would have been fired? Did Sarah not go and she was fired immediately? And did Jessica not go one time and then she was fired immediately? I just don't know how they're going to prove that aspect of it. Because to me, this is after work. This is not a hostile work environment. This is you going out with your teammates, with your coworkers after work. That's what this sounds like to me. I could be wrong, but it sounds like going out with your coworkers after work. Yeah. Okay. Deacon Fiddle says, okay, so she was trying to tempt them. That is a real question. That is a real question going off of her angle. That seems like that's what they're trying to allege here. MB says years of conditioning. Maybe. Julia says, well, Foreign City International part of the tour. Chris Mullen says, probably scared of losing their jobs. Yeah, but my question is, how are they going to be able to prove that if they did not do these things, they would have been fired? That's where it's going to be tougher though. Because remember, I get people have their feelings about like stuff that has happened, but you're filing a lawsuit. You have to prove your allegations. And right now, they're not even tying the allegations together. So I'm just a bit confused. Chelsea says, I'm withholding my opinions until this is officially filed and we read the responses to the allegation. The responses are going to be deny, and I don't have enough information, because that's how you respond to complaints. Yeah, let's see. Chelsea says, I agree with you, Bree. Get up and go. Know your self-worth. Maybe dance is not for you if you're offended by these. I'm sorry. Maybe dance is not for you if you are offended by these type of things. You want to tell me that you're getting on these stages, doing these crazy dances with Lizzo and skimpy outfits, and you're offended by going to a strip club? Maybe dancing for Lizzo is not for you. And maybe that's probably how I wonder how she feels seeing this. Like, this is my whole image. And now you're trying to shame me for my kind of image and the way that I have fun because you weren't having fun after work with your coworkers? I don't know. Julia says they're still in Europe. Right now, we're at this part of the lawsuit. I think they might be back in the U.S. on this part. Henry Smith says, it says they felt obligated to go out with Lizzo. Yeah, they said they felt obligated, but were they obligated? And Word says, I realize that as I hit sin, I'm a Gen X. I forget everyone grew up with this. Yeah. Julia says, this can get into hostile work environment if you feel pressure to go to keep your job. And that's what they would have to prove. They would have to prove that if they did not go, they would have lost their job. And the way that they would prove that is they would have to present testimony of Lizzo saying If you don't come out with me, you're going to lose your job. You got to have proof of people not going out with her and then losing their job. I don't know. Dreamscape says, I had a friend who was kind of a lunatic. She was fired, then filed a lawsuit a lot like this one. Makes sense. If you can prove it, sure. Go ahead. I just saw that Deacon Fatal gifted 5 Boss Attorney Breed memberships. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Definitely appreciate you. Let me see who is now new members. Thanks to Deacon Fatal. We have Mr. Howard, a member of the channel. We got some Magic. We got Cheryl C. We got Ann Ward and Jazzy G. Welcome to the Bree Hive. Welcome all the new members to the Bree Hive. Thank you so much, Deacon Fatal, for gifting 5 Boss Attorney Bree memberships. I feel like we should get a little. I gotta get my soundboard. Okay, let's get into it. I'm trying to see the worst. That you're saying I'm gonna get to. Y'all saying I'm gonna get to. I'm not there with them right now. And they said not as uncomfortable as the other place. On or about March 9th, 2023, the dance team submitted their request to BGBT and Lizzo for a retainer of 50% of their weekly tour rate to ensure they would be paid for their time while on break from touring. Since BGBT and Lizzo strongly preferred the dance cast not take other jobs during these breaks. On or about March 16, 2023, the last show of the European leg of the special tour was played. Before the show, BGBT accountant Ashley Jossie sent an email responding to the dancers' retainer request. In the email, Ms. Jossie offered a retainer of 25% of the dancers' weekly tour rate, exactly half of what the dancers requested. Maybe they should have requested 100% and they would have gave them 50%. That's a dig move, but it's a negotiation tactic. Offered 25% for the dancers. At least they offered to pay them something, but it's a negotiation tactic. They can still go back and forth with them. Exactly half of what the dancers requested. Additionally, Miss Joshi took the opportunity to scold the dancers for unacceptable and disrespectful behavior while on tour, stating that it was cause for termination. Nowhere in the email did Ms. Jossie explain that she or BGBT deemed unacceptable or disrespectful, or what they deemed unacceptable or disrespectful. Only the dance cast, comprised of full-figured women of color, were ever spoken to in this manner, giving plaintiffs the impression that these comments were charged with racial and fatphobic. That's her whole identity. I don't know. That seems like weird to me. Okay, the email marked the beginning of the strained relationship between the dancers and management. They could have kept negotiating, but did they not have agents? What is wrong with their agents? I'm sure their agents is getting 50% of their dance income. No, I'm just kidding. Let me be quiet. Plaintiff and their fellow dancers were blindsided by the allegations of the email and requested a meeting with Kevin Bleeser. Mr. Bleeser initially agreed to meet, but when he arrived for the meeting, Mr. Bleeser simply stated he had no time to talk with the dancers, even though he had devoted ample time to discussion with the musicians and vocalists performing on tour the same day. Mr. Bleeser promised he would make time to talk to the dance cast over Zoom regarding the cast concerns, but never followed through. The dancers performed that night and then returned to the United States shortly after. Back in the United States, the dancers were once again placed on a soft hold and unable to take other jobs. Shows were not due to resume for over a month. Fortunately, on or about April 4th, the dancers and BGBT were able to agree to a 50% retainer. See? Keep negotiating. Unfortunately, despite the advances the dancers made in obtaining a retainer, it became clear that BGBT's management began to lash out at the dancers. Retaliation. Sue for the retaliation. But see, negotiation tactic. Of course, they're gonna lowball you to start off with. You got to kind of keep pushing at them. The thing about, let me see, the hold. If they would have just went and took another job, sure, they may have been fired, but how would they replace, if they all did it together, or most of them did it together, how would they replace all of those dancers? If they all would have taken a job and missed a show or whatever, then Lizzo would have felt it serious to need to give them the retainer. Luckily, they was able to obtain a retainer during that break, but they mispaid for that break. So, I don't know. I probably would have banned it to go on strike. Strikes work, guys. Strikes work. Specifically, BGBT management treated the Black members of the dance team differently than the other members. BGBT's management team consisted almost entirely of white Europeans who often accuse the Black members of the dance team of being lazy, unprofessional, and having bad attitudes. Not only do these words ring familiar as tropes used to disparage and discourage Black women from advocating for themselves, but the same accusations were not levied against dancers who were not Black. That seems odd to me, given that Lizzo is Black. But hey, I don't know. I wasn't there. But it's an allegation, right? On or about April 20, 2023, the dance cast was scheduled for an 8-hour rehearsal. Near the end of the rehearsal, Lizzo arrived and called the dance cast together for a meeting to address the rumors of unprofessionalism. During this meeting, Lizzo also stated that the dancers were not performing up to par and repeatedly accused the dancers of drinking alcohol before shows, even though the dance cast had never partaken in such a practice. Lizzo then stated all the dancers would be required to re-audition for their spots, and if Lizzo was dissatisfied with their performance at the end of the day, the dancers would be fired and sent home. What followed as an excruciating re-auditioning in which the dancers repeatedly ran through the entire 90-minute show, what was supposed to be an 8-hour rehearsal was extended to almost 12 hours. That is messed up. That's torture right there. Yeah, that's wrong. I can agree with them on that one. But as far as losing your spot and having to re-audition, that does not seem abnormal to me in the dance world and the dance industry. The re-audition was brutal as the dancers were not allowed a break. During the run-through of the show, Miss Davis felt she needed to excuse herself to the restroom. Why she didn't do that at the club when they were pressuring her, but I digress. However, she was afraid that if she left the stage at any point during the audition, she would be fired. Miss Davis pressed on as long as she could until she eventually lost control of her bladder. Come on. Still fearing the repercussions of exiting the stage during the run-through, Miss Davis remained on stage dancing in soiled clothes until there was a brief segment of the show where the dance cast was not part of the onstage performance and were allowed a short break. That's bad. That's bad. I understand being scared to lose your job. But I learned at a young age, when you got to go to the bathroom, you go to the bathroom and you don't let nobody tell you that you can't go to the bathroom. And again, if they fire you for going pee, maybe this is not the job for you. Could they be liable for something there? I don't know, because no one ever told her she couldn't go to the bathroom. There's no allegation that they told her she couldn't go to the bathroom. They said if she performed poorly, she would be fired. Not if you had to go to, like, what would you do if you had to throw up? You would just stand there and throw up on the stage? I'm confused. Miss Davis was utterly embarrassed and hurried backstage to change into clean clothes. Unfortunately, the only clothing available to Miss Davis was a see-through garment provided by the wardrobe department, making her feel exposed and even more embarrassed. Miss Davis was required to finish the rehearsal, dancing in front of male crew members who were known to sexualize dancers under less revealing scenarios, while wearing completely transparent shorts and no undergarments. After rehearsal was finally over, nothing was said to the dancers, but they were left with the impression that they were to show up the next day. I'm confused. Like, they're not tying it together for me, because she's saying she was forced to dance in front of these male people as if they made her pee on herself. So they got reprimanded for not dancing up to par, and they had a very stressful dance practice. to the point where she felt like she could not go to the bathroom to relieve herself. A lot of this is based on, like, I'm not trying to be mean, but a lot of this is based on feelings. A lot of this is based on feelings. She felt like she could not leave the stage or she would be fired. Sometimes bosses do come in and say, hey, if you guys, we got to, I've had practices like that. You guys better get it. If you don't make it, you're going to get kicked off the team. You're going to get kicked off the team. Okay, yeah, let's practice hard. But I don't think I would ever say, okay, if I don't perform well, I'm going to get kicked off the team. Oh, snap, I got to go pee. But that doesn't count as, I would go pee. I learned the hard way long time ago. You don't let somebody tell you you're not allowed to go to the bathroom. And if they fire you because you had to go pee, it's not the place for you. It's not the team for you. Hella Swinky says, I can believe the accusations of racism and anti-blackness. If they're saying that all of the management were not black and they were kind of, antagonizing them, it's kind of strange to me that Lizzo would let it go on, I think. But there are situations where even black people are more racist to black people than white people are. So I can see that happening too. Julia says, to Hello Swanky, standards for hostile work environment these days are lower than you would think. That's what it is coming down to. Cheryl C says, Lizzo is black, but the supervisors were mostly European and white, apparently. Yeah, and so they could be, but the fact that she was not nipping that in the butt, like I said, I would find that hard to believe, but at the same time, that does happen sometimes. And where it says the accusations, I missed what you said earlier. Julia said, it being at the end of rehearsal and with no breaks sounded odd. That has the thing is, I've been on dance teams, I've been on cheerleading teams. That has happened. It was messed up that she came in at the end. Maybe she wanted to test them to see if they were doing well. But at some point, you're going to have to pay them their overtime. They could probably sue for something like that. But to say that you just can't go to the bathroom, and there's no allegation that they told her she couldn't go to the bathroom. She just said, if I don't perform well, then I'm going to get fired. So in my head, if I got to go pee, I'm going to get fired. I can't get that connection. I don't know how she's going to prove that connection. Hello Swanky says to Julia, I'm aware of what they are. Unfortunately, she hasn't met them until she gives at least one valid reason for believing she'd lose her job unless she tortures herself via socializing. I would agree with Hella Swanky there. I don't know how they're going to tie this together. I don't know how they're going to come with the proof to tie these things together. Cheryl Reed says, I cannot believe that this grown woman stood on stage and peed on herself. Something is wrong. I would like more information. And I guess this is a complaint, but you should also tie things together. Cheryl C says, you will not convince me that every other dancers went 12 hours without using the bathroom. I would have to be on your bandwagon, Cheryl C. You want to tell me nobody went to the bathroom during this rehearsal? And word says to Hella Swanky, I definitely believe the accusation of racism. I didn't believe the racist allegations that were made. I wasn't clear. I apologize. Yeah, I don't know if that, because then they would have to bring white people to testify and say, no, they did not berate us in that way. They may say, no, they told us the same thing. Like, it's going to be hard to prove. They're just saying, they didn't talk to the white people like that. But how would you know if you're not the white person? You would have to bring the white people to come testify and say, no, they did not talk to us like that. We don't know if they might have been yelling at everybody for all we know. But like I said, you have to prove your claims. Hello Swanky says, ain't no way. This woman sounding like she rushed in a sorority in college and being hazed, but has yet to connect the dots between Lizzo's words / actions and her beliefs that she would lose the job for PA. Yeah, I would agree with you. Christopher says, it is possible it was also due to she was in mid-performance and therefore the show must go on. Not a great reason still, but just wondering. But I tie it to, okay, peeing. Apparently she was able to pee and not get any pee on the stage, but kept dancing. You mean to tell me you didn't drip no pee when you did that? You didn't slip on your pee? You're putting other people in danger by doing something like that. And so let me go back to my point is that, okay, what would be the difference of if she had to throw up? She threw up, everybody see it. You want to tell me they gonna tell her to keep dancing while she's throwing up? I don't think so. They might be like, hey, where you going? Where you going? What you doing? I gotta pee. I'm about to pee on myself. And then they said, no, you stay there and dance. Then I can say that's a hostile work environment. If she tried to go and they told her no, or you're fired when she tried to go, then that's a hostile work environment. But her just not going because she didn't know if she can go or not, we're grown-ups, guys. We're grown-ups. Okay. Julia says the thing is hostile work environment is based on feelings and whether other people could reasonably see that you felt that way. That's true, but you're going to have to show it. And so she's going to use the 3 people that's filing with her, and they're going to have to bring other people to testify. Hello Soki says, I want to believe this girl, but she wrote all this and still hasn't connected the dots. She's not connecting the dots for me. She is not connecting the dots for me. Okay. Let me go. Y'all getting a little feisty in the chat. Let's see where we're at with our likes. We're at 63 likes with 45 people watching live. If you have not hit the like button already, please, guys, do hit the like button. It helps us out in the algorithm. This is a good case. We're getting some good information. Let's go ahead and see. So they didn't get fired. So if she went to the bathroom, I can almost guarantee that she probably still wouldn't have gotten fired. On or about April 21st, 2023, Lizzo called another meeting with the dance cast to reiterate that none of their jobs were safe. This is normal in a dance industry. Even little girl dance teams, let's talk about dance moms, got the same threat. So again, okay. Once again, Lizzo mentioned that drinking alcohol before the show was prohibited. As this accusation was not based in any sort of reality, I think Lizzo would say the same thing about these claims. Is that they're not based in any sort of reality, but I digress. You're entitled to your opinion. Miss Williams raised her hands to ask to speak. Miss Williams went on to rebut Lizzo's accusation of drinking on the job, stating that the dancers had never drank alcohol prior to the shows. How do you know what all the dancers are doing? But okay. Miss Quigley immediately supported Miss Williams, confirming that the dancers had never drank before the shows. Lizzo mockingly responded, well, if you're not, then good for y'all. Then stated that maybe the accusations of drinking before the show were on account of the dancers' poor performance. From this moment on, the tension between Lizzo and the BGBT management and Miss Williams was palpable. On or about April 21st, 2020, I think they got fired and they filed this lawsuit. And it probably should be for wrongful termination and not for hostile work environment. It probably should be for wrongful termination. On or about April 21st, 2023, Miss Davis was called into a private meeting with Lizzo and the choreographer Tanisha Scott. Lizzo and Miss Scott questioned Miss Davis was struggling with something as she seemed less committed to her role on the dance cast. Lizzo and Miss Scott pressed Miss Davis for an explanation why she seemed less bubbly and vivacious than she did prior to the tour starting. In professional dance, a dancer's weight gain is often seen as the dancer getting lazy or worse off as a performer. Lizzo's and Miss Scott's question about Miss Davis's commitment to the tour were thinly veiled concerns about Miss Davis's weight gain, which Lizzo had previously called attention to after noticing it at the South by Southwest Music Festival. Or I think this is the same lady that admitted that when she gets depressed, she overeats, and usually an effect of overeating is gaining weight. So maybe she was concerned that you were depressed. Okay. Miss Davis stated that she was dealing with personal issues, makes sense, and did not, nor would she ever let it affect her work. In fact, not only had Miss Davis's performance as a dancer not slipped, but Miss Davis had also become a better dancer than she was when she was hired. Lizzo and Miss Scott were not satisfied with Miss Davis' answers and continued to press. Just as she was at Bananin Bar, Lizzo was relentless until Miss Davis bent to her demands. Although Lizzo and Miss Scott never explicitly stated it, these questions accompanied by Lizzo's statements made made after the South by Southwest Music Festival gave Miss Davis the impression that she needed to explain her weight gain and disclose intimate personal details about her life. How old are these people? Why are they so pressured? I thought like the Gen Z people were not afraid of losing their jobs. Or is it just millennials? Is it just millennials that quit on the spot? Miss Davis shared that she had been struggling with anxiety and depression, probably as they guessed, and has been diagnosed with binge eating disorder. Miss Davis explained her diagnosis and struggles, but made it clear that in spite of her mental health struggles, she was still committed to the tour and performing to the top of her capabilities. In response, Lizzo and Miss Scott dismissively offered Miss Davis some time off of rehearsal to attend therapy. Seriously? That's offensive? That's offensive? Giving you time off to deal with your mental health that you just disclosed? Okay. They offered her time to go get therapy. Offensive. Okay. This offer seemed strange to Miss Davis and made her feel like if she accepted the time off, Lizzo made her feel like if she accepted the time off, Lizzo and BGT would see her as too weak to continue as a member of the dance cast. And the reason why let me insert my own words. And the reason why she felt like this is because Sarah Jane did this last month. And when she went to therapy, she was fired the next week. Tie it together. Why did you feel like that? Why did you feel like that? Accordingly, Miss Davis declined, thinking it was the only way she could keep her job. This meeting took place immediately before a show, and although Miss Davis was hurt and emotionally drained by being forced to tell her employers about personal struggles, she still went out and performed that night. On or about April 26, Miss Williams was terminated in the lobby of the hotel the dancers were staying at by Miss Gugliotta. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Under the guise of budget cuts, Miss Williams was the only dancer to get fired this day. Budget cuts. Stunned, Miss Williams asked to speak to Lizzo. Miss Gugliotta responded, telling Miss Williams that Lizzo isn't the best with these things and she has a lot going on. Undeterred, Miss Williams continued to ask to speak with Lizzo until Miss Gugliotta stated Miss Williams does not have the best attitude at the time and comes across as snarky. Miss Rodriguez then spoke to Miss Gugliotta, expressing disagreement with the decision to publicly terminate Miss Williams. Miss Gugliotta, Gliota, I don't know what's her name, responded that it had been done and then stated, "We've never had any problems with you." What does that mean? On or about April 27, 2023, all the dancers were called into a meeting with Lizzo to discuss notes on how they had been dancing. Prior to discussing performances, Lizzo addressed Miss Williams being fired. During the meeting, Lizzo stated that she had heard that one of the dancers questioned why Lizzo hadn't fired Miss Williams directly. Lizzo repeatedly demanded to know who questioned her decision to fire Miss Williams, and once again reminded the dance cast that she had eyes and ears everywhere. Lizzo also stated that her performance that the dance cast refrained from socializing with Miss Williams before Miss Williams left New Orleans, where the tour was performing that night. Afterwards, Lizzo finally gave the group performance notes. Miss Davis, who suffers from an eye condition, I guess this is the disability, which Lizzo, I forgot that there was a disability claim, which Lizzo and BGBT were aware of, sometimes becomes disoriented in stressful situations as a result of the condition. Accordingly, Miss Davis has a habit of making audio recordings of stressful interactions so she can review them later in less stressful environments. As the tour camp had become incredibly tense for Miss Davis, And the original intent of the meeting was for Lizzo to provide performance notes that could be crucial to the dancers' continued employment. Ms. Davis recorded the meeting so she could review it later on. On or about May 3, 2023, all the dancers were called into the emergency wardrobe fitting. As they arrived at this fitting, BGBT management and security were there waiting for the dance cast. Security took each dancer's phone as they entered the room. Once all were in the room and their phones were collected, Lizzo entered. Lizzo stated that she knew that one of the dancers recorded their meeting on April 27, 2023. Lizzo became furious, hurling expletives at the group and stated that she was going to go around the room person by person until someone told Lizzo who was recording. Intimidation. It does sound like a hazing group at this point. Ms. Davis admitted that she had recorded the meeting and explained it was because she wanted to have a copy of the notes Lizzo had given them about their performances. Ms. Davis also explained that she never intended to harm Lizzo with the recording and had deleted it the day after recording. Lizzo responded with, "There is nothing you can say to make me believe you." Ms. Quigley and Lizzo then took turns berating Ms. Davis. After castigating Ms. Davis, Lizzo fired Ms. Davis on the spot. I mean, I don't know. Could that be a hostile work environment? Maybe. I don't know. I feel like that one's getting a little closer to their goal, to tell you the truth. Before Lizzo left, Ms. Rodriguez asked if she could have a word with Lizzo. Ms. Rodriguez explained that she did not appreciate how Lizzo handled this situation. These three girls sound like friends, and they backing each other up. Rodriguez explained that she did not appreciate how Lizzo had handled the situation with Ms. Davis, and that Ms. Rodriguez felt disrespected and therefore would resign. So she quit. This resignation drew both Ms. Quigley and Lizzo's ire. Ms. Quigley screamed at Ms. Rodriguez and Ms. Davis, calling them disrespectful. Then Lizzo aggressively approached Ms. Rodriguez, cracking her knuckles and balling up her fists and exclaiming, "You're lucky, you're so effing lucky." Ms. Rodriguez feared that Lizzo intended to hit her and would have done so if one of the other dancers had not intervened. Neither security nor management did anything to de-escalate the situation. As Lizzo left the room, she raised both her middle fingers and yelled, "Bye, B-word." This sounds like a playground fight. Like, oh my gosh, it sounds like a playground fight. This sounds like the three girls that filed this motion were friends. It sounds like the three girls that filed this motion were low-key already plotting, maybe were the bad seeds of the group. To quit because you're friend, but at the same time you felt if you didn't go to these parties, then you would be fired. I don't know. Maybe you were fed up at that point. Sure. I think that they will be able to prove assault on this one because, I mean, cracking your knuckles and being like, "You so effing lucky," them's fighting words, ma'am. And fighting activity. So she may have a claim there. That's the closest thing I have. Getting berated in front of everyone, it's a hard line because in the dance industry, that's a thing. Getting disciplined in front of the group is a thing. So I don't know how hostile work environment works in that situation. If the common practice, although it may not be the best practice, it seems to be a common practice in dance. So, Lizzo, get your people together. Ms. Rodriguez then returned to her hotel room, escorted by three other dancers, as they all feared Lizzo may return, trying to hurt Ms. Rodriguez. Ms. Rodriguez packed her things and prepared to leave. Ms. Davis was forced to stay behind, detained in the room where the meeting had taken place by a member of Lizzo's security detail referred to as Robbo. Molly Gordon, the special tourist co-manager, demanded Ms. Davis let Robbo rifle through the files of Ms. Davis' phone and in her iCloud while Ms. Gordon watched, even though Ms. Davis had already explained that she deleted the recording days earlier. Ms. Davis was told she was not allowed to leave until the phone had been searched. Ms. Davis was scared and wanted nothing more than to leave the area and therefore assented to the phone being searched. A thorough search confirmed Ms. Davis' assertion that she had already deleted the recording from her phone. Let's see. After finally being released from her confinement, Ms. Davis hurried to her hotel room, packed her things, met up with Ms. Rodriguez, and left for the airport. Their flights did not leave for another 7 hours, but the two were afraid that Lizzo, Ms. Quigley, or someone at Lizzo's direction might return with the intent to further confront or even hurt them. Okay, we got sexual harassment. We are not going to go through these individually. But I probably will take a look at this later because this is probably where they're going to tie everything together in the accusations. But the thing is, they're going to use a lot of the same facts. And I can kind of guess which ones they're trying to link up. Y'all, I really don't feel bad for them. I'm sorry. I don't feel bad for them because this is bad. I do think that Miss Rodriguez can have a claim for the assault. I think the berating Miss Davis in front of everyone and also berating Miss Williams in front of everyone may be on that borderline of hostile work environment because they embarrassed them in front of everybody. But I don't see that they were singled out consistently. So I don't know if that will cross the threshold for a hostile work environment. Let's go back up into it. Let's see if they give us the definition of hostile work environment in here that they're using. Because this is California. Let's see. The harassment or the hostile work environment. Oh, but it's long. Okay. So this says the conduct by Lizzo BGBT created a hostile work environment for plaintiffs, making the conditions of their employment intolerable in direct contravention as various statutes and state law. Plaintiffs were subjected to a hostile work environment due to including but not limited to defendants' repeated exposure of plaintiffs to nudity against their will and pervasive habit of sharing lewd fantasies and tales. Okay. What was this one? This one was hostile work environment for sexual harassment. Okay. Yeah. I guess it could be group sexual harassment. I don't know. This is not my area of law. I just kind of don't feel bad for them because they could have quit. They could have quit. You're working for an independent company. This is not a government job. I don't know. This one's a stretch for me. I can see. I'll probably look into how they tie it together. This makes more sense to me tied together the way that they're listing it, but at the same time, I don't know. Yeah, I guess she should probably do a sexual harassment training. It's a lot. Okay. Cheryl C says, I wouldn't bet big money that it is clear in their employment contract that they were prohibited from recording Lizzo or anything behind the scenes, especially practices and training. The thing with recording is that recording in California is a two-party consent state. So whether it was in their contract or not, Lizzo has an argument that she was illegally recorded. So, whether it was in their contract or not, it doesn't even sound like they had contracts. It sounds like an at-will employment situation. So that and yeah, I don't know if they had contracts, but yeah, Lizzo's argument will be two-party consent state. Julia says, Cheryl C, but if it's a known accommodation, I don't know exactly what you're referring to. Miss Mullen says, clearly Lizzo has something to hide. She doesn't want to be embarrassed. As you can see, you can get in a lot of trouble. You can get a lot of trouble for a lot of things. The whole exposing them to nudity after work, I don't know if they're going to win on that part because that was after work and you didn't have to go, but you felt like you had to go. And I would love to see them prove that if they didn't go, they would have been fired. Cheryl C said, if you need a disability accommodation, you request it and get it in writing. It sounds like she was just recording covertly. She absolutely was recording covertly because Lizzo had to say she heard that somebody recorded it, which probably meant that she replayed that recording for somebody else who then talked to somebody else, and then it went through the telephone, right? That's what it sounds like. In addition to her disability accommodation, she didn't tell them that she said that she had the eye condition and that they knew about it. But she didn't tell them that the taking critiques from her performance is so stressful to her that she needs to record the transaction. She didn't, and she didn't get permission to do it. So I'm right there with you, Cheryl C. It sounds like she just said, this is the accommodation that I need, so I'm going to do it. Kimmy Locker says to Julia, if it was known accommodation, she wouldn't have had to ask who recorded the meeting. Yeah, exactly. That's true. Hella Swanky says, you hit the nail on the head 100% to Julia. Julia says, Cheryl C, it would need to be documented as far as the accommodation goes. This is a lawsuit. If she has an explicit disability accommodation that had been approved by someone in authority, that would be in the lawsuit, I would think. Why would it not be included? Because she didn't have it. They knew that she had a disability, so maybe she might trip over something on the stage, but I'm pretty sure she didn't say my eye condition causes me not to be able to see and concentrate, so I need to record things. That's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. Julia said, it does sound covert, but accommodations shouldn't call attention to themselves. It's possible. She doesn't even explain who people are. So it's possible it's legit and possible it's not. I think she wanted to record because shortly after this, they were fired and now they're filing a lawsuit. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was to get evidence of how she is. Maybe sell the video to TMZ to say, oh, look how Lizzo talks to her dancers. Just like we're getting this lawsuit saying, look what Lizzo exposes her dancers to. And y'all, I'm not even a Lizzo fan. I just want people to come harder with their lawsuits. I need some more definite harassment going on. Definite harassment. Sounds like bull. Agreed. They don't. Kimmy says to Chris, I'm an open book, but would be pissed if someone secretly recorded me, especially if it was a breach of contract. I'd be shocked if recording wasn't prohibited, especially with a celebrity. You are signing an NDA even if you're going to a party with a celebrity, right? Julia said Emily D. Baker went false imprisonment. Oh, I forgot about the false imprisonment. They did say false imprisonment, huh? Oh, because they locked her in the room and went through her phone. That would be false imprisonment because they were blocking the door. Yeah. Kimmy Locker says to Julia, the company has to be aware of an accommodation in order to make it. If that was the case, it would have been alleged in the lawsuit and Lizzo would have known about it. I think they knew that she had a disability, but not that her disability required her to record things. I don't think she had the permission to do it. Julia says Kimmy Locker was outlined, or to Kimmy Locker, she was outlined in being a disability, and this is so badly written that I have no idea if it actually was. I never heard of a situation. I would like to know what the disability is that you have an eye condition which makes you need to record things to listen to hear your critiques. I've never heard of that. Love Dreaming Peach Cat says, but honestly, there are probably a few jobs for plus size dancers that are that level. Oh, I forgot that they are plus size, so maybe they didn't want to lose out on their spot. I never thought of that. That could possibly go in their favor. Z Celtic says, think if the roles were reversed and how we would look at this suit. I think they painted a good story. Also, a larger dancer, there are less opportunities, and so leaving is hard. I did not think about that. I would agree with you there. So it is harder for them to get jobs. There's also probably less of them trying to get jobs too. So there could be an offset in that as well. I don't know. I would like to see how they prove that they would get fired. That's all I would like to see. Kimmy Locker says to Julia, right, but in order for a company to make reasonable accommodations for a disability as required by law, they need to be aware of it. They were aware of the disability, but I don't think they were aware that she needed to record things when her stress got high because it would affect her eye condition. And so she needs to listen to something. It's not coming together for me. You have an eye condition, but you need to record the audio because you get too stressed, which invokes your eye conditioning, and you can't listen. I'm not a doctor, so I'm going to be quiet. Jazzy G says, but what about the dance coach using explicit language at work that made her... I don't know what you means by that made her something that's sexual harassment. I think that is I don't know what, like, is group sexual harassment a thing? I think so. I think they may have a claim with like the banana thing and the constantly talking about she wanted 10 penises in her face. But at the same time, like, is she directing that at the group, or are they talking like in small groups and saying that? I don't know. I'm confused. Oh, the dance coach using explicit language at work that made her uncomfortable. That'd be sexual harassment. Yeah, the language and the banana thing, I think yes. If you're at dance practice and your boss is guacking a banana, not guacking a banana, yeah, I think that is closer. The going to the party and naked people being at the party, I don't think that one's gonna qualify. Hello Swanky says, I would be shocked if she actually had an accommodation. The accommodation doesn't even make sense. Julia says, Kimmy Locker 100% is just so badly written that it's making me question if it is even a real accommodation. It's not an accommodation. She took it upon herself to record things because she felt like she would get so stressed that she couldn't remember what was said to her. Hello Swanky says, that's not a thing that happens in Hollywood. Hollywood entertainment has to be the least accessible industry to exist. That's also probably a thing. Jazzy G says, I think Z is saying if Lizzo was a man inviting team out to these events. But if Lizzo was a man, I would also assume that the people going to the party would be men, because these are women going to a party with a woman. So I don't know. If we're going to make an equal opposite role, I think that the sex of the people have to be the same. The gender of the people have to be the same. So not all the way going in that way if roles were roles were reversed. But if you're talking about a man inviting women to the strip club or to a nude club, if it would be offensive. Potentially. But again, with Lizzo, it could potentially be offensive. And my argument would be the same. You don't have to go. If that person makes you uncomfortable, you don't have to go. If you think you're going to lose your job and you're wrongfully terminated, you can sue, like you're suing right now. Hello, Sunny says, I'm dying to know what her disability is. She said she has an eye condition, and when she gets stressed, it makes it hard for her to concentrate, which is why she needed to record, because of her eye condition. Yeah. Chelsea says, I said this earlier, but the whole lawsuit is too vague. It is vague, and all you need to do is prove facts sufficient enough to state a claim, but I don't know if this states a claim for me. And maybe that's why they haven't filed it. Maybe they wanted it to get in the hands of the lawyers on YouTube to see if this states a claim. Maybe that's what they wanted to do, to see if the lawyers on YouTube can let them know if this is going to progress in California court. You can't claim racism if you don't show it was all black dancers who were chastised. How many dancers were black? How many were white? I want facts. Did the white people feel the same way? Like, yeah, I'm with you, Cheryl C. I don't know if you would be able to prove that, because you might call the white girls to the stand and say, no, we got yelled at too. Because in dance and entertainment and performance, getting yelled at by your coach is a thing. I've been doing dance, cheerleading, everything from a very young age. And my coach was my mom before, and she yelled at me. Okay? So getting chastised by your coaches is a thing. Now, if she was like, you black bees, y'all are always lazy, then yes, racism. But if she's just saying you are being lazy, and you only overheard her saying it to black people, and then when you see white people that you think are being lazy, and she just says, hey, you need to tighten up, I don't know if that's enough. Maybe they like those people more. Maybe they like them more because they're white. I guess that's what they're alleging. I don't know. Hello Swanky says the Jazzy G. Oh, she's not though. It makes a difference. I'd feel a lot more comfortable doing that stuff with a woman boss than a male boss. Yeah, and like I said, I would probably reverse the roles as he's inviting other men out. Because honestly, that's a thing. There are bosses that invite their employees out that are men, and they go to strip clubs. It's like a normal thing for men to do, especially like high up CEO kind of people. That's what they do. And also in the industry, we got to remember, we are talking about people in the industry. Just like the girl that sued Chris Brown and Snoop Dogg and all of these people, I wanted to be on the show, and I felt like I had to do these things to be on the show, so I prostituted myself out. Or you could be a person that says, hey, I'm not going to go that far, so this is not the industry for me. I get following your dreams. I definitely do. But with social media and as many people that just get famous, I don't know. Hello Swingy says, bottom line, way too vague. Kimmy Locker says, I'm an employer, need to be more aware of the accommodations, not the disability, in order to make it. Yeah, that's true. Hello Swaggy says, period. She has a lot of claims and not enough specifics. And these are major, serious, career-altering claims for her to be making, being this vague and not coming correct. And it has already reflected negatively on Lizzo. And like I said, I am not a Lizzo fan. I can't name you one Lizzo song. Okay? I cannot name you one Lizzo song. I might hear her sing a song and I'll be like, oh, that's Lizzo. But 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to know unless someone tells me, oh, this is a Lizzo song. I'm not a fan of her. But this complaint is not giving me enough. And like I said, they probably tie it together a little bit better in the causes of action. But like I said, even with the sexual harassment thing, I think the banana thing counts. I think the telling people about how you want 10 penises in your face. Is it constant? Is it she was talking to somebody in a corner and you overheard it? Was it that she was talking to you directly and you heard it? Sure, I think you can qualify for that. But going out to the club and something happening, I don't know if they're going to qualify for that. For the disability discrimination, she can nip that one in the butt. That one, I cannot see that one going forward. The racism, I'm sorry. It's like the P. Diddy case, claiming it's because he's black, they're not selling his tequila, but they're only marketing it to black people. It sounds very, maybe an insecurity, thinking that they're targeting you. We would need to know more. We would need to know our friend Heather. Our friend Heather, she's white and she's more lazy than me, and she's never been called lazy by these people. We need more of that. We need more. Well, we don't need it for the complaint, but as discovery goes on, we would need that information. Chelsea says, also, where did each of these things happen? So many locations are listed here. How do we prove jurisdiction? LA, Delaware, Paris, Amsterdam, Austin, Texas. They're going to sue you probably in the place where you live. And Lizzo probably lives in California. And even though her corporation is registered in Delaware, it is probably should be also registered as a fictitious, I'm not a fictitious, as a foreign entity in California in order to operate in California. So they sued in California. Pinky Blue says, I think the Amsterdam situation and the dance captain's conduct is sexual harassment. Which one was the Amsterdam situation? Especially because they said they didn't want to go to Banana and Bar and were told they had to. I agree, but I don't agree. For the Amsterdam thing, they were told that they had to go to the Banana and Bar, but they were not told because of work. They were told they had to go because they stated that they were already going, and potentially what I'm going to assume they were already paid for, because she said already gave Lizzo a head count. So you have to go. But even if somebody tell you have to do something, you still don't got to do it. Man, I don't know if you've ever heard the I don't know if it's a saying or something, but basically, like, if someone is holding a gun to your head and they say, cut your mom's throat or I'm going to shoot you, you still make the choice. Even though there's a gun to your head, you can say, okay, I'm not going to cut my mama's throat, I'm going to get shot. Or you're going to say, I'm going to cut my mom's throat because I'm not going to get shot. You still have to make the decision. So even if that lady told them they couldn't go, they could have still not went. And if they lose their job, I get it being your dream. I do get it being your dream. But if you didn't want to go there, you don't have to go. And if maybe all it was is that they already paid for you, and so you have to pay them back. I don't know. Cherie said, I think she was recording to against Lizzo, and it had nothing to do with her disability. I would agree with that. To put it out there for the TMZ. Julia says, and now that Bree said it that way, that would be the anxiety diagnosis, not the eye diagnosis. That is true, probably, because I can't see how you getting stressed makes you. I mean, I guess sometimes I don't know. I don't even know what the disability is. Cheryl C says, I feel like she recorded things because she wanted to. The accommodation was her excuse when she got caught. Just my opinion. I would agree with you. I'm right there with you. Hella Swanky says, exactly, Brie. The role reversal thing is a false equivalency. They were, as far as we know, the same gender, but yeah, like Brie said, just don't go. Yeah, I agree with you agreeing with me. Julia says they could have just said they needed to get a better night's sleep and gone back to the hotel, or they could have threw up, or they could have done a lot of things to get out of there. Like, how many of you have called your or text your best friend and say, call me with an emergency? I don't want to be on this date anymore. How many of us have done that? Okay. Hella Swaggy says, LOL, like I said, I'm dying to know what her disability is. I'm telling you, she said it was her eye. And I guess anxiety and depression. I forgot about that one too. Nissa Howard says the lawsuit is sparse on facts. Very sparse. It does not really tie. I felt this way because. That's what I learned in law school. Because they violated my rights when they did this. That's how you prove your case. Dreamscape says, if she recorded the management for her use, then how did Lizzo find out? She must have told, shown, or sent it to someone. Probably. Maybe she was showing her friends and somebody overheard. Or maybe one of these three girls were a double agent until they got fired. Because it seems like every time one of these three did something, they got in trouble. They didn't tell us about anybody else getting in trouble. Which may have, if someone else got in trouble in front of them, that may have bolstered their claims a little bit more. Kimmy Locker says, you and I are on the same page tonight. Just because she calls it an accommodation later doesn't make it so. And she's talking to Cheryl C. Cheryl C says to Kimmy Locker, maybe I am just a skeptic, but the way the lawsuit is written is sus to me. Don't think a version of these things happen. Yes, probably, but too much of this is about her feelings. I would agree with that. It's I felt, but there's no reason why I really felt that way other than the fact that I think I would lose my job. But I may or may not have ever seen anyone lose their job for doing a similar thing. Yeah, I would agree with you. They're not tying it together for me. Cheryl Reed says, following your dream is all well and good, but at what cost? Exactly. What are you willing to lose for it? Sometimes we want to work we work at Walmart and we think it's the best job in the world, and then something happens and then you decide this is not for me. This is not the employer for me. Let me go work at Target. But you get what I'm saying. I understand them being heavier. They may not have as much opportunities, but like I said earlier, they probably don't have as much competition either as non-plus size dancers. So, I mean, it is what it is. I want to be YouTube famous and I'm not. But I'm not going to let anybody bully me in order to stay on YouTube. If YouTube kick me off, I'm going to TikTok. No. Just kidding. Don't ban me, YouTube. Hello, Swaggy says, you know what's funny? It's usually women complaining they don't get the chance to do these after work functions because they're not a part of the boys club. Here she is mad about being a part of the boys club. Yeah, exactly. Julia says, oh, I'm agreeing with you, Kimmy and Cheryl. It has to be discussed, agreed upon, and documented to be an actual accommodation. It's just so badly written that I'm not willing to say it's fake. Let me see. Hello, Songy says, same. I can't name any Lizzo songs, and I don't rock with her for a minute for how she handled the stolen lyric situation. But right is right. Big claims require receipts. Yeah, and you're ruining somebody's career at this point. Cheryl saying she might be a mean boss. But who's not in the dance industry? I'm sure Beyonce be yelling at her dancers too. Or maybe she just have somebody else yell at them. She needed to be yelling at Blue Ivy the way she went out there and did that first performance, but she's getting better, right? So you gotta yell at people. You gotta do your routine full out, okay? Cheryl C says, if they can prove that going to the club after hours was mandatory, then maybe they have something. I agree with you there. I don't think it was mandatory. They felt it was mandatory probably to get a better position, to get more in front in the dance routine is what it sounds like. Hello, Swanky says to Cheryl C, that's their only shot that I see right now. Proving these were truly an optional as truly was, I guess, not as optional as they seem. Hello Swanky says, or at least proving that they had some reason to believe that. Yeah, like somebody else getting fired when they didn't go. Not being the lead dancer is not a reason to go thinking that you're going to be fired. Julia says Amsterdam was the bananas. Cheryl Reed says, which is the red light district? No surprises there. I can't remember exactly what you're referring to. I know that was one of the nights out. Oh, they said they didn't know that's where they were going to begin with. I don't know. Julia says you can also go for 5 minutes and then leave. Yeah. Oh, I'm sick. I gotta go. Kimmy Locker says, Cheryl, I'd call that analytical rather than skeptical, but maybe biased since I agree. Right. Josie G says, if she hadn't gotten fired, sounds like we never would have heard of this. Exactly. It almost sounds, like when you get fired and then all of a sudden something becomes a problem, or like when you bring up an issue to your significant other and then all of a sudden they have all these issues to bring up to you. And then so you're trying to make something more than what it probably was. Like I said, that incident at Bananas sounds like a bachelorette party. Sounds like when you say you don't want strippers at your bachelorette party, but your sister calls them anyway. That's what it sounds like. Now, are you going to get in trouble with your husband? Probably. But is it sexual harassment? I don't really see brides going to sue their sister for hiring strippers when they ask them not to hire a stripper for sexual harassment. So I don't know. I feel like that one's a stretch. Chris Muller says, sometimes you have to quit your dream job for your own mental health. I've done that in the past. Exactly. Nobody's forcing you. Absolutely no one's forcing you. If you have to quit, I don't know. They're trying to claim it as like a condition of the job, and I don't think that's what it was. Hella Swinky says, how old is this girl? Do we know? Because she is making herself sound like as though she has zero autonomy. Is this the biggest people pleaser, scary everything? This is actually three different women that all sounded like friends and would stand up for each other, and sounds like they concocted this plan to me. Julia says that only goes so well in foreign countries when you need to be well for work the next day. Yeah, I mean, how many of us have called out sick and still came to work the next day with our hair done? So I don't know. It's not like they're calling in sick. They're leaving at a night after work. So I see where you're going with that, but I mean, people call off of work for different reasons, and I just don't consider that part as work. I don't. Hello Swanky says, like, how old is she? Why is she having such a hard time saying no and expressing her own issues? A lot of it was Davis, I guess, though. So I said it was three different girls, but I guess most of these not saying no situations was Davis. Pinky Blue says, if you can just get up and leave whenever you want, why are you texting a friend to set up an excuse to leave? This person was obviously scared to stand up for herself, so having someone else call them to leave, that can help. Some people, especially if you're a woman and you're in a situation with a guy that you don't like and you don't want them to get mad at you, it may be helpful to have someone on the phone to say, hey, you need to leave right now because I need your help. And then that way that person is on the phone and you don't get beat up. Men do beat women up when things are not going their way. So there's a lot of reasons why you might want to call somebody to give you an emergency to leave. Guys do it too, just to not make the person feel as bad or to protect themselves. There's a lot of reasons. Pinky Blue says, like in the scenario, you clearly don't feel like you have the will to leave on your own accord. If you're caving to that pressure on a date, why would you assume Lizzo employee feel comfortable just walking out? Like I said, she could have texted her friend and told them to come and pick him up. I don't get the point. If she was feeling uncomfortable, she could have done the same scenarios. We're just giving options of what she could have done in order to get out of it if she felt like if she just left on her own, she would get fired. We're just giving examples. Helen Swanky says, just as an FYI, stress can actually trigger complications, physiological responses. Stress is actually one of two main triggers of my genetic blood disorder. Oddly enough, the other is cold temperatures. Yes, I can definitely understand that happening, but she is blaming it on her eye condition. It'll be different if she blamed it on like the anxiety, but I don't know if anxiety counts as a disability. I don't know if that counts as a disability. So she tried to use the eye condition to make the disability sound, like, oh, they're discriminating against her because of her disability. Saying good point. Hello, Sonia says, so I'm not saying she doesn't have a disability. I never tell someone they don't have one. I just have questions. Yeah, I think that is very possible that she has an eye condition, but I think her needing to record is probably, like, I forgot who said it earlier, it's probably more related to the anxiety versus the eye condition. But again, I'm not a doctor. I don't know how her eye condition works. Blood disorder, yeah, I figured, but I just didn't fix it. Julia says, I was wondering what blood disorder was. Kimmy Locker says to Pinky Blue, are you asking why a woman would need a friend's help to get out of a date but not an outing with their boss? Hella Swanky says, right, to Kimmy Locker. Hella Swanky says, my bad, I didn't even catch that at first. I'll talk about the typo. Kimmy Locker says, are you asking why? Oh, I already read that one. Hella Swanky says, right, how old are they? They're reporting these events like scared teenagers instead of grown women. It almost sounds like it's an afterthought, though, because they weren't complaining about it when it happened, and then now that they're fired, now they're complaining about it. And I guess they don't really qualify for wrongful termination because they were fired for, one, recording her when you were not supposed to be recording her. They probably have an NDA not to record her. And let me see. The other one was fired for standing up for her friend. Or no, the other one quit, so she wouldn't have a wrongful termination. And the other one was allegedly fired for budget cuts. So really the only thing that they can bring now are these alleged harassment claims, because they didn't qualify for a proper wrongful termination, which if these incidences really bothered them in that time frame, then they would have probably qualified for the wrongful termination. So I'm sorry, I'm not on their side. I'm not on their side. And Word says, oh man, what is the blood disorder? I black out and have seizures. Not trying to get diagnosed on YouTube, Ann Ward. Binky Blue says, yeah, if it's understandable that someone needs an excuse to leave a date instead of walking out, why isn't it understandable that someone feels they can't leave a work event? We're saying if they felt like that, she could have used the same tactics. That's all we're saying. Hello Smoky says, why? Because men murder women for rejecting. So, for rejecting them? Sometimes that happens. Actually, there's a lot of times that happens. Jesse G says, I do wonder how old they are, but I don't think it's mentioned. I don't think they mentioned either. Kimmy Lockett says, Bree just beat me to it because leaving a date can be dangerous. Yeah, it can be dangerous sometimes. Julia says, I think anxiety can be on the ADA disability. I didn't know that. I would have to look into it more. Hello, so he says, oh, nah, I'm not disagreeing with you, Bree. I just mentioned stress as a valid trigger because some people don't think it is. No, and she said that. She said she gets stressed and she can't concentrate. I think that is a thing, but she just kind of tied it to the eye disability too. So, because the only way she can tie it to it is the eye disability, because they knew about the eye disability. And so I don't know how she tied that together. I might be wrong. As long as it's severe enough to impact the life or the anxiety, that makes sense. Cheryl Reed says she may have informed them of her disability, but was too afraid, embarrassed, whatever, to ask for the accommodation. Accommodation is not automatic. You have to disclose it if you need it. And like I said, they probably have an NDA. Even if they don't have an employment contract, they probably have an NDA saying that you cannot record Lizzo. I wouldn't be surprised if they have that. Nissa Howard says anxiety can be a disability, but it has to be debilitating, and she would probably not be a dancer at the level it would if it was considered one. I'm a therapist. I should know. Well, thank you for the information, Nissa Howard. Yeah, so I think you make a good point. If you're dancing in front of millions of people, your anxiety is probably not to the level of being debilitating. But I guess there's also an argument that maybe her anxiety is triggered by different things rather than large audiences. That could be one. I mean, B instead of 3. Okay, that's what I figured. Love Dream and Peach says, I can't imagine thinking I couldn't go to the bathroom. I agree. This is a case of immaturity in many ways. Like I said, I learned that lesson in elementary school. So I don't know if she never had that lesson, but I learned that lesson in in elementary school, like younger than 10 years old, adolescence. So if you're going to get fired for needing to go pee, it's probably not the job for you, especially if you're working a 12-hour shift and they're not letting you go to the bathroom. That would be wrongful termination, and you wouldn't have to come up with these crazy stories. I mean, not crazy stories, because they probably happened in some fashion or form. But do I think they were as offensive to you as you're trying to claim? I don't. Chelsea says, the fact that we are trying to fill in the blanks and guess the whys just prove how vague and incomplete the lawsuit is, though. That is very true. That is a good point. Kimmy says anxiety is considered a disability under the ADA if it's disabling when active, even if it's effectively managed most times. Okay, we getting all the info. Julia was saying exactly. Hello Swinky says, and word, oh, yes, that sucks. I was born with sickle cell disease. Oh, you guys are talking about the blood things. let's see. I don't want to put your stuff all out there. And this hour says agoraphobia, panic disorder, PTSD. Sucks. Love Dreamy Peach Cat says exactly by 4th grade I was saying I gotta go, not asking for permission, telling you I'm going. Yep. Especially as a little girl. Because even if it's not going to the bathroom, you might need to go to the bathroom to do certain things with your womanly functions. So no, we're not asking permission, we're going. And if they fire you for that, like I said, wrongful termination, I have to pee. Like, you can't be that hostile. And my thing is, maybe they would have screamed at her and fired her there on the spot, but probably would have called her back the next day and say, hey, we understand you have to go to the bathroom. You know, you can come back tomorrow. But I don't know. I'm just making look like y'all said, just filling in the blanks for them. So that is all that I have for today. This was kind of a long stream that I did not think will be this long, but it is this long. Anyways, I thank you all for joining live. Let's see if we hit our like goal. No, we didn't. We're at 79 likes, but that is still pretty good for the live stream. We haven't hit that in a long time. So I definitely appreciate everyone joining the live stream and leaving us with all the comments and the opinions. I really came into this again, just like the Mr. Beast lawsuit, thinking that I was going to feel bad for the plaintiffs. And in this case, I think that they have some claims. I do think they have some claims that they can prove, but I think that they also have a lot of claims that they are not going to be able to prove. And I think it was it MB or Cheryl C? Somebody pointed out that this has not even been filed yet. That's very, very interesting. I would love to see where it goes from here. If this was just a clout chase, did they write this up their own selves? Do they just have a family member that is a lawyer that drafted this up for them to scare Lizzo? I don't know. Or maybe they put it out there so that maybe more dancers will come out and they can actually do a class action and maybe have more support and more testimony on their behalf. To me, it sounds like 3 friends that didn't really like their work environment. They ended up getting fired and they did not qualify for wrongful termination. So they took these incidences that probably happened in one way or another, but may or may not have been offensive at the time. But in order to qualify for this lawsuit, we made it a thing, right? So that is all that we have for today. Thank you all for joining me in the live stream. I should be streaming next Tuesday, but as you guys know, I've been kind of touch and go with YouTube, and I hope that I'm able to live stream. But if I'm not, you guys will definitely get an update for me. And I should live stream next week because we should be doing our member stream next weekend. So you will hear from me. I will see you guys all on the next live stream or on the Twitter or on the YouTube community tab. And I hope everyone has a good night, and I will see y'all all later. Oh, and have a good weekend.